While others could only fuse with a single monster, I could fuse with 9.99 million. Moreover, the first monster I fused with was Godzilla, possessing a king's bloodline. Yet, even after awakening such a top-tier talent, I was mocked by everyone as a good-for-nothing. This was only because the world's evaluation system was too primitive to comprehend my terrifying potential. At that moment, as a reincarnator, I abruptly opened my eyes. Before I could get a clear view of my surroundings, a stream of unknown information flooded into my mind. It turned out this was a high-artial world called Blue Star. A world frequently invaded by terrifying monsters through secret realms. These terrifying magical beasts had already destroyed several nations. Through a long struggle, humanity developed a magical beast gene system. By injecting magical beast genes, one had a chance to unlock a genetic talent and become a martial artist, which was the only way to save human civilization. Thus, the entire Blue Star entered an era where martial prowess stands above all. It turns out that the protagonist I transmigrated into was named Yahi, currently a prospective martial artist about to take his college entrance exams. His parents had an accident during his second year of high school, which caused the original host to lose all motivation for cultivation and studies, making him the bottom-ranked student in his class. Just as I was pondering what to do next, the balding head teacher strode onto the podium. "Students, are you ready? We are about to begin injecting the genetic modification serum. Please have confidence in yourselves. Your 3 years of hard work, strengthening your bodies and cultivating martial energy, have all been for this day." After his instructions, the head teacher led us to the gene injection hall. On the tables in the hall were several metal cases containing the gene awakening serum. This serum contained the original genes of all the magical beasts ever recorded by human martial artists. After injection, one would absorb one of these genes to awaken. Generally, the stronger the physique, the stronger the magical beast gene awakened. The students in the class began their injections one by one. After that injection, steam rose from their skin, and they all howled in agony. Shortly after, I plunged the needle into my body. But after waiting for a long time, I found there was no expected pain, not even the slightest change. Just then, Wang Xing, who had already completed her awakening, walked over gloating, "Look everyone, it seems he didn't awaken anything. You can just go home and wait to die." Suddenly, my heart suddenly began to beat violently, and an interface appeared in my mind. I had acquired the infinite monster template. As the prompt sounded, my heartbeat reached its absolute limit. A flash of deep blue light flickered in my eyes and an irrepressible roar with an overwhelming aura erupted from within me. Students nearby had gotten knocked down, and those far away were able to notice a stronger presence than themselves. This was the rank template, Godzilla. However, this currently only had a 3 compatibility. Wang Xing, being the closest, foamed at the mouth and fainted. As the pressure vanished, I found the other students on their knees before me, but I could only apologize for making a scene. Just then, a broadcast announcement sounded, requiring all awakened third-year high school students to proceed to the testing building to test their awakened magical beast genes and martial arts level. By stepping inside the gene breakthrough detection device, all the necessary information would be displayed. There was Li Xinyuan with a third-tier magical beast bloodline, Swift Spine Bug. Chu Zhao, with the top-tier bloodline, Ice Elemental Dragon, and as well as being a level 9 martial apprentice. Liu Qingxiu, another level 9 martial apprentice, had a stage 4 bloodline, the Nether Sparrow. However, I was curious as to why their awakened monster templates were classified by tiers like 3rd and 4th, unlike mine, which was considered a class. Soon, it was my turn for the bloodline assessment. Everyone looked at me as if I were an idol, providing me a clear path to the machine. After all, in this world, strength was everything. I had displayed terrifying potential, naturally earning everyone's respect. The crowd hyped up my assessment, which Shujo had taken notice of. Soon, my information appeared on the big screen. But to everyone's surprise, it only showed basic information. So Yai has only a level 3 martial apprentice. Even my little brother could beat him up. Others pointed out that my unknown bloodline meant I had none at all, and the popularity I had gained had immediately disappeared. However, this was all within my expectations. Godzilla wasn't detected, but it did trigger a prompt from the infinite monster template. Although my template's level was different from theirs, it meant that as long as I met the conditions, I could draw monster templates an infinite number of times. Since this is the case, then I can become the king of monsters. Afterward, I found my head teacher and asked for a leave of absence, stating that I wanted to participate in special training and would return before the college entrance exam. The head teacher sighed and approved my leave. "I know you've awakened a bloodline, but your foundation is too weak, making it difficult to pass the exam. But don't be anxious. You can always repeat a year and try again next year." After sincerely thanking the head teacher, I left the school and headed for the ancient martial artist center. On the way, I withdrew the 600,000 my parents left me, and adding the 1 million from their accident compensation, I now had a considerable amount of starting capital. Currently, I had two options to increase my strength. One was to raise my martial artist level, and the other was to increase Godzilla's template compatibility. According to the information from the Infinite Monster template, each template initially had only 1 point of compatibility, but Godzilla had 3 points already. It meant that Godzilla had absorbed the potency of the gene Awakening Serum, providing 2 points of compatibility. This meant that the gene Science Serums in this world could enhance my template abilities. Rather than training to death, I can just spend money to improve effortlessly. After swiping my student ID, I entered the Martial Artist Center. Since installing Godzilla's template, I also gained a unique sensory ability, a life magnetic field, allowing me to clearly feel the roaring energy and blood and the beastly howls within the bloodlines of the martial artists around me, burning like furnaces. This enhanced my fighting spirit. After all, the legendary Godzilla was destined to conquer all life as the king of monsters. Just then, a hand rested on my shoulder. "Young man, don't casually peek at others." "I'm sorry, miss, I didn't mean to. I'm here to buy genetic medicine, but this place is too big, and I can't find it. Can you point me in the right direction?" She lectured me about how much a potion would cost, which greatly surprised me. However, she also gave me a business card so I could get a discount. After thanking her, I followed her directions to the martial artist hospital, where I spent 1,450,000 on 4 gene potions. With the remaining money, I bought some basic equipment and weapons. After returning home, I eagerly began injecting the potions. The pale blue liquid was pushed into my body, flowing through my blood to every limb. Godzilla's compatibility increased from 3 to 7, and my constitution rose from the original 8 to 15. Leveling up feels amazing. However, there was diminishing returns with each shot of the potion. The stronger my body gets, the harder it is to enhance. But it was still good. In just a few dozen minutes, I had achieved what would take others 3 years of hard cultivation. It's like I activated cheat mode. Time quickly passed to the next day. I packed up and set off for a pre-selected Secret Realm rift. Secret Realm rifts were divided into 6 levels, from Stewie, with higher levels containing more powerful magical beasts. I entered the Ancient No. 3 Secret Realm. There were fewer people here than I expected, perhaps because the Secret Realm had been open for a long time. I arrived at the entrance Secret Realm rift. "This is the beginning of my rise to become the king of monsters." Saying this, I jumped right into the rift. After arriving, I looked up at the sky and saw 3 incredibly huge planets hanging in the sky. Although I had learned about the appearance of secret realms from textbooks, it couldn't compare to seeing it in person. Just then, a creature quietly approached from the grass behind me. It was a first-tier magical beast, the Blade Fang Rabbit. The Blade Fang Rabbit lunged at me at great speed. However, I simply dodged sideways and grabbed its head. "Did you think I couldn't sense you with my life magnetic field?" Then finally, I crushed it with a squish. After the Blade Fang Rabbit died, only a white magic core was left behind. Its common quality, worth about 1,000 yuan at most. However, collecting too many first-tier magical beast cores was also pointless. It would be best to find second-tier or higher magical beasts. As soon as I had that thought, a second-tier magical beast, a demon corpse bug, suddenly burst from the ground. Speak of the devil, I chuckled as I drew my weapon. In a flash, I slashed a large gash in its abdomen. Compared to the steel, like carapace on its back, the soft armor on the demon corpse bug's abdomen was clearly easier to penetrate. The demon corpse bug charged at me as a spiky curled ball. I immediately channeled my martial arts and unleashed Hyper Beam, stopping the demon corpse bug in its tracks. Then it flung 2 scythe-like fangs at me. I barely dodged the projectiles and immediately created distance. After all, without powerful martial arts to assist me, I couldn't handle this bug at my current martial artist level. I have to use my cheat. Legendary Godzilla Bloodline, activate. The next moment, my skin turned a deep blue, my pupils shone like sapphires, and a layer of hard scales covered my arms. The empowerment had reached all the way to 21 points. In an instant, I was right at the demon corpse bug's head, slashing and flashing from the inside. I pierced all the way through the creature. In mere moments, I completely crushed the second-tier demon corpse bug. I deactivated the Godzilla form, but my body began to vent the excess heat, surrounding me with a large amount of steam. Looking at that demon corpse bug's green magic core, I suddenly had the idea to swallow it. Feeling a primal urge from my body, I didn't hesitate and swallowed the magic core in one gulp. The magic core was then absorbed into my body. And surprisingly, Godzilla's compatibility had increased by 0.3. Seeing this, I was overjoyed. A gene potion that cost hundreds of thousands only increased my compatibility by 1, while a second-tier magical beast's core could provide 0.3. 3 or 4 of them were equivalent to 1 potion. Damn it, I wasted money on those potions. Turning my grief into motivation, I decided to hunt all night. Utilizing the life magnetic field, I located more of the magical beasts. Time quickly passed to noon the next day. I walked out of the No. 3 secret realm with a sack full of magic cores. After my compatibility reached 9, swallowing white magic cores provided very little increase, so it was better to sell them for money. In total, there were 20 white magic cores and 4 green ones. After selling them all, I got nearly 200,000 credits. Currently, in Anshang City's number 4, rank secret realm, a group of martial artists was preparing to embark on a mission. But due to lacking one member, they had to hire someone from the agency. The team leader, Lin He, introduced me. You're the level 9 martial apprentice, Dazilla. I couldn't enter a D-class secret realm as a student, so I had an illegal agency create a fake identity for me. Dadzilla is a weird name to have. Anyway, as a level 9 martial apprentice, you're indeed not qualified to enter a D-rank secret realm. Our team can give you a chance to observe and learn, but you must not hold us back. After the 6-person team was ready, they got into an off-road vehicle and drove straight into the secret realm rift. This time, after entering the secret realm, what appeared before them was a boundless desert. The bounty mission Lin He and his team had accepted was to find a secret realm plant called the Blood Jade Flower. This was their second time entering this secret realm. Last time, they had successfully located the general area of the Blood Jade Flower, which was guarded by a second-tier, general-level magical beast. Just then, a pack of earth demon rats appeared to chase their vehicle. However, Hood was there to easily take care of them. Throwing multiple daggers infused with martial energy towards the chasers, hitting accurately at the heads of the magical beasts. The martial energy exploded on impact as the vehicle continued to drive away. Soon after, the vehicle stopped near an oasis in the desert. The Blood Jade Flower Lin He was looking for was in the oasis. Because the monsters in the oasis were very sensitive, the engine sound of the off-road vehicle would surely be detected, so everyone got out and proceeded on foot. As the team leader, Lin He began assigning tasks. Xiao Xia, in a bit, you'll set off a flashbang to lure that beast out. Xiao Wu, Hood, you set up traps. Old Liu, provide suppressive fire. I'll handle the frontal assault. Dadzilla, you can just watch for now. After the assignments were given, everyone began to act. A flashbang soared into the air, releasing a thunderous boom and a pheromone mixed with a high-level magical beast scent. Before long, the second-tier magical beast, the Earth Dragon, emerged from deep underground. After a well-executed plan, Lin He was able to cut off the Earth Dragon's head. It fell to the ground as the members gathered together. Let's keep moving forward. Just then, the arm of the dragon loomed over Lin He. Fortunately, I had been on guard and reacted instantly, delivering a full-powered hyper beam that completely finished off the Earth Dragon. Everyone was shocked that a mere martial apprentice like me had the power to shake a second-tier magical beast. This strength earned their recognition, and they no longer saw me as a burden but as a comrade. Soon, we found the mission's target in the center of the Oasis Lake, a blood jade fruit. In addition to the fruit, we also managed to harvest the Earth Dragon's magic core. Just as Lin He was overjoyed, a sudden change occurred. A team member, Hood, launched a surprise attack with a poisoned dagger, stabbing him in the abdomen. Hood, what are you doing? Then, a tough-looking bald man appeared. The bald man's name was Huo Peng. He specialized in robbing martial artists of their spoils from secret realm explorations. Lin He clutched his abdomen. How did you know about this place? Huo Peng. However, I deduced that the daggers from before had the necessary information. Hood didn't waste words. He threw a dart first, aiming right at me. I grinned, the fighting spirit in my eyes blazing like a beacon. It seems like I need to take out the trash. Just then, Hood unleashed a barrage of daggers towards me. However, I easily blocked the attack with a great roar. Hood took the opportunity to close in, spinning in mid-air. Perfect chance to try out my new skill. From the tips of my finger, a beam pierced through Hood's heart. Hood's mangled body fell to the ground. A gene technique. Which bloodline are you from? I'm from the Godzilla clan. Are you going to kneel and beg for mercy? Even with gene techniques, you can't close this massive martial gap. Bloodline activation. Violent Dreadbear. Huo Peng grew massive in size, like the Dreadbear itself. Unleashing the martial technique, Heat Shaker. In a flash, I ducked and my fingers once again shot a beam at Huo Peng's least defended ankle. But still his arms sweeping like great pendulums, as I dodged this attack. However, his pursuit was relentless, and his giant hands came together again, aiming to crush me. Clapping together, the force was enough to send shockwaves. Are you done? Because it's my turn now. With the core fused, mountain-crushing fist technique, my fists were coated in blue martial energy. As a barrage of blue fists crashed into the bear, like Huo Peng. Before long, he reverted back into human form, beaten into a bloody pulp. You even have a gene technique with poisonous gas. How despicable. A wicked martial artist like you will surely be punished. I curse you. More and more people keep cursing me. Who do you even think you are? 9 days passed in a flash. Today, the National College Entrance Exam had finally begun. Hello, students. This year's General Higher Martial Arts School enrollment is about to begin. I would first like to wish you all great martial fortune. The college entrance exam will use a tournament system. Students will compete against each other in pairs on the arenas, and the winner will advance to the next round. The exam will last for 3 days. The first 2 days are for the selection rounds, and only students who advance will participate on the 3rd day. Each student must fight 3 matches in the selection rounds. Students who enter the promotion rounds will continue to compete until this year's top scholar is chosen. You carry the future of humanity on your shoulders. For yourselves, and for humanity, please show your strength in the college entrance exam. I declare the Anqing City College entrance exam officially open. As his words fell, many candidates began to ascend the arenas. One after another started to fight one another. On arena number 6, the contestants were me and Huang Tongtong. However, I had not yet arrived. The Gene Assembly was the greatest humiliation of my life. I was thinking my raging fire lizard could properly humiliate Yai, but that piece of trash is too scared to even show up. How boring. At the same time, gossip started in the crowd that I was a coward shivering in bed. However, as the referee was about to disqualify me, the martial artists in the arena sensed an incoming presence. Like a smoking blue meteorite, I was flying through the sky, descending towards the arena. What the hell is going on? In an instant, my foot was inches away from Huang Tongtong, and I had kicked her out of bounds with great force. That was close. I almost needed to come back next year. The crowd cheered for my show of strength. But I was reveling at my newly attained 20 compatibility and 226 points in overall fitness. Linny had given me the blood jade fruit as a thanks, and I had naturally absorbed it. After easily defeating Huang Tongtong, I continued to fight 2 more rounds against others, winning all 3 matches. Each victory was secured with a single kick. Unsurprisingly, I successfully entered the promotion rounds. Many recruiters came up to me, however, I confidently declared that I wanted to enter Imperial University. They finally dismissed me, but it was because they did not believe that I could do it. After noticing my performance, several examiners approached me. Student Yai, please cooperate with us. We need to test your martial artist level now. Level 9 martial apprentice. Student Yai, you were only a level 3 martial apprentice half a month ago. We even discovered you had frequented in secret realms. Why would you do such a thing? Hearing this, I spun a wild tale. To temper myself. Before my dad passed away, he left me with a saying, to surpass humanity, one must abandon their humanity. So I kept going to secret realms to fight. In battle after battle, I broke through my gene lock. What? You broke through your gene lock? This is a big deal, we need to report it immediately. With that, I felt as if I had inexplicably become a person of interest. On the day of the promotion rounds, I stepped onto the arena. My opponent this time was Luo Xuan from Anqing No. 3 High School, a martial artist with a level 8 cultivation who had awakened a 2nd-tier rare magical beast bloodline. You can make the first move. Seeing that he was being looked down upon, Luo Xuan awakened his bloodline and used his martial technique, dashing lightning claw. His sharp claws aimed right at my throat. However, I had effortlessly grabbed his attacking claw. The momentum is good, but it's still far from that bald guy's charge, I said while raising my hand high in the air, then delivered a single hand cop to Luo Xuan's head. The winner once again was me. Eehee. Another instant knockout, and it was against the seated contestant Luo Xuan. The live broadcast chat exploded. The absolute martial dominance I displayed had even ignited everyone's passion. Watching Luo Xuan being carried off the arena by the medical staff, Shuju's eyes filled with fighting spirit, as expected of the man I have my eye on. I must meet you in the finals. The head of admissions for Imperial University also saw my powerful performance on the live broadcast. I want all his information within half an hour. Just as my battle ended, the second match of the promotion rounds began in full swing. This was Kai Xiaoling, known as the Queen of Anqing Second Senior High, while the opposing contestant was Liu Qingshu, the unattainable flower of Anqing First Senior High. And so, the match had finally begun. In an instant, Kai Xiaoling's leg was already sweeping towards Liu Qingshu's neck. Let's see how long you can keep that straight face when I pin you to the ground. Liu Qingshu responded with her family secret art, Sutra of Transient Splendor. Kai Xiaoling's leg was almost enveloped by the water, like martial energy, but she just deflected off and gathered distance. And in an instant, delivered the martial skill, Howling Gale Step. However, her palm stopped inches away from the Lin Qingshu's waist, unable to advance further. Damn, it's a trap. The suction of the air didn't allow her to pull free. At this moment, Liu Qingshu attacked for the first time with the profound, yellow martial skill, Primordial Jade Finger. The martial artists who witnessed this on the live broadcast all widened their eyes. Kai Xiaoling retaliated with her bloodline awakening the Shadow Claw Tiger King. With a light tap of her foot, her body gracefully shifted over, creating distance. Show me your nether Sparrow bloodline. Liu Qingshu spoke her first words of the battle. This is enough. Kai Xiaoling was thoroughly enraged. Facing the fiercely powerful palm strike, Liu Qingshu used softness to overcome hardness. The force of Kai Xiaoling's palm completely vanished. Unsuccessful in her first strike, Kai Xiaoling used her powerful blood energy to shatter Liu Qingshu's invisible threads, her small body leaping into the air for another kick. Seeing this, Liu Qingshu once again used the profound Halo martial technique, Primordial Jade Finger. The jade-colored fingertip collided with the fiercely powerful kick. The two powerful streams of martial energy clashed, shattering the specially made arena beneath their feet. Hundreds of thousands of people watched nervously to see who would be victorious. As the dust settled, the first to appear was Kai Xiaoling. She was covered in blood, swaying as she struggled, but finally collapsed from exhaustion. In contrast, Liu Qingshu stood like an otherworldly fairy. Liu Qingshu was victorious. Soon, the match is finished, and the top 8 advancement drawing ceremony had now began. I was the one to draw next. So your group am also in group so it looks like we'll be facing each other. My name is Shin Guan, from Kingfin Private High School. Our match is the second on the arena. Let's watch them fight the first one. Luoxi, he is very strong, but against that Chu Zhao, he still stands no chance. The winner of this bout was Chu Zhou of Anshan First Senior High. Compared to me, I'm the martial arts president of the 3rd year at Kingfin Private High School. My other 2 companions combined probably couldn't beat me. Actually, in this college entrance exam, I think you are the strongest opponent. I've been particularly sensitive since I was a child. I can sense that you are like a dormant volcano with a giant beast inside you. But it seems like it's our turn now. The top 8 advancement tournament, the second match. Shin Guan vs. Yehi. With the referee's command, Shin Guan and I threw punches at each other simultaneously. Our fists collided in an instant, and the air buzzed as if from an explosion. Although a trickle of blood flowed from Shin Guan's nose. He was extremely excited. A powerful martial energy formed a barrier on his body, blocking the nuclear radiation I release. Seeing this, my eyes were burning with endless fighting spirit. Then let me show you the martial art passed down through my Shin family for generations. Martial technique, shape will fist, Deer's Peak. His attack was way too fast. In a blink, he strongly hit my chest. I couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, my body thrown back dozens of meters. Shin Guan once again attacked, taking the form of a great bear. His already large frame crashing into me, as I blocked it with my arms. I broke into a cold sweat, realizing that Shin Guan's physical attacks were infused with martial energy, causing double the damage. The next second, his fist wrapped around me, and suddenly I was in a chokehold that could lock my martial energy. Next, with the form of an ape, he had thrown me high in the sky. Then, crouching like a tiger, he landed a devastating uppercut at me. He continued his assault by diving like an eagle, slamming me deep into the ground. This series of combos left me with no way to fight back. The medical staff outside the arena were already preparing to enter and rescue me. But the next moment, Shin Guan suddenly felt goosebumps all over his body, as if he had seen some world-destroying behemoth from within the dust. An arm covered in scales stretched out, and then I appeared before everyone. Godzilla Bloodline Awakening. You are indeed very strong. As a reward, you are the first to witness me in this state. Hearing my words, Shin Guan's pupils widened, and he stood there completely stunned. To the eyes of others, my bloodline awakening only meant one thing: I was a bloodline genius. To think your bloodline awakening is at such an overwhelming level. With my appearance, the energy sensor in front of the examiners began to emit a piercing sound. The sensors detected an ungodly amount of nuclear energy radiation. Together, they wrapped the arena with martial energy to prevent any leakage. During this, the spectators buzzed once again. It seemed like they did not know what my magical beast was, which made me realize that there was no being like Godzilla on Blue Star. Shin Guan's nose started bleeding again. His martial arts barrier could not withstand the overwhelming radiation. So he had to end this quick. Bloodline Awakening, the Gold Star Ape Demon. Then he threw an attack, directly at me. Martial technique, form, will fist, snake strike. Seeing this, I immediately used my own martial technique, mountain blocking fist, to meet his attack. His arm was completely destroyed, but fortunately not shattered. You are outstanding, Shin Guan. But unfortunately, you cannot change the outcome. This was the first time Shin Guan had been at a disadvantage in a clash, but he didn't retreat. Don't get distracted, big man. A unleashed a barrage of attacks onto Shin Guan. However, his arm, like a boneless snake, coiled around me. He used my immovable state to reposition himself. He leaped into the air, then used the martial technique form, will fist, lift and stomp. With a boom, a huge sound wave created a shockwave that nearly shattered the entire surface of the arena. When the dust settled, everyone looked at the center of the field in disbelief. I was still standing there, motionless and unflinching. Now it's my turn. A circle of blue energy ripples began to glow on my fist, the terrifying heat distorting the air. But before I could make a move, Shen Guan suddenly knelt on the ground. "Brother Ye, I surrender." Hearing this, I was stunned and frustrated. The power I had gathered had to be reluctantly retracted. According to the rules, after one party surrendered, the other had no right to attack. And so, the referee immediately announced the result. "Match over. He wins." The principal of Kingfing had a livid face. "You dared to surrender. Do you know how much money we spent training you? You ungrateful wolf. Don't even think about going to university until you've paid back the money." Before he could finish, Shen Guan's large hand landed on his shoulder. I couldn't have taken that punch. I surrendered to avoid damaging my foundation. If I hadn't surrendered, would you have gone up and taken that punch for me? The principal swallowed, and in the end, said nothing more. And so, the top 4 of the college entrance exams were finally decided. The list for the top 4 matches began. I was the first to go up and draw a lot, and it was first again. Meanwhile, Liu Qingshu also presented her lot. She was also first. College entrance exam semifinals, first round, an internal battle for Encheng No. High School Daiha versus Liu Qingshu. The online chat was hotly debating on what would happen for our match. The information revealed so far is that Liu Qingshu has mastered 2 profound yellow martial techniques. She hasn't even shown her 4th-tier Nether Sparrow bloodline awakening yet. Ai, on the other hand, was forced to use his bloodline awakening against his opponent. Although Ai's bloodline seems to be very high, probably also a 4th-tier bloodline, he can't compare to goddess Liu Qingshu, who is also a 4th-tier bloodline and has a superb martial arts foundation. At this moment, the semi-final matches were now about to start. Encheng No. 1 High School's Ai versus Liu Qingshu. Let the fight begin. As soon as the referee's voice fell, a large amount of white smoke rose around me, and I directly entered my bloodline awakening state. I hope you are strong enough. Liu Qingshu's martial techniques were far superior to mine. With her divine martial techniques, even with immense strength, I wouldn't be able to harm her. This martial arts genius also had a very high combat ID. The longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for me, so I had to go all out from the start. I had loudly declared my attack, the martial technique, mountain blocking fist. Liu Qingshu's hands moved in a circle, stirring the airflow in front of her, seemingly wanting to absorb the incoming fist. But it was a feint. I had ducked below, and swept her with a thick tail of martial energy. Liu Qingshu repositioned herself, while being impressed at my cunning tactics. I seized the opportunity, and with my superior physique, I relentlessly pursued her. Liu Qingshu had skillfully used her martial technique to break free and gain some distance. You aren't getting away that easily. With a wicked swipe, a wave of martial energy had approached her. But she clearly saw this coming, and dodged it with a flip. However, as she landed, I was already behind her with my fists at the ready. Another relentless barrage of fists were beaten towards Liu Qingshu. She broke in a cold sweat as she defended the attacks. If this continued, she wouldn't last much longer and would be knocked off the arena and lose. Liu Qingshu realized she had no other options left. So, she decided to use her trump card. Bloodline Awakening. Nether Sparrow. A pair of full, purple black wings grew from Liu Qingshu's back. This was the first time she had revealed her bloodline awakening. Classmate Yaihe, be careful. In this form, I can't control my strength. Is that so? That's all I needed to hear. Because up until now, I've only been using about 50% of my power. Next, I'm going all out too. As soon as her words fell, she instantly appeared behind me. She attacked directly with the profound, yellow martial technique, Primordial Jade Finger. Meanwhile, I charged my own martial technique, Atomic Blast Fist. The elegant jade-collared fingertip and the ferocious blue glowing demonic fist collided, creating a huge energy reaction. At the moment of contact, with a boom, the massive explosion of light and heat, and the surging airflow sent us both flying. Liu Qingshu flapped her purple-black wings, counteracting the impact of the airflow. But as the dust settled, she was stunned. Protruding bones had grown on my back, crackling a terrifying wave of martial energy. Liu Qingshu sensed a fatal threat. What's going on? Yaihe's magical beast true form seems to be charging up. The protruding spine seems to be accumulating a huge amount of energy, and it's being transferred to his mouth bit by bit, and with that, I unleashed the ultimate skill, Atomic Breath Beam. The martial energy was too overwhelming for Liu Qingshu. She could only decisively fold her wings, wrapping herself tightly. At the same time, she charged up her own ability. But the next second, a terrifying torrent of energy instantly engulfed her. Just then, Liu Qingshu's martial skill, Feather Deflection, had activated, reflecting the martial energy away, and dispersing the force. The spectators were terrified by the oncoming beams of energy. However, a golden martial energy enveloped the entire arena. The golden martial energy completely blocked my devastating attacks without difficulty. This was the mayor of Anshan, Huang King. Just watch. The strongest top scholar in our Anshan's history will be born today. At this moment, blood had dripped onto the ground. Liu Qingshu's wings were tattered and burnt. He actually defeated my nether Sparrow's defense with just one strike. Since her birth, the Liu family had placed high hopes on her. Under the family's expectations, she had to fight battle after battle to build the reputation of the Liu family's eldest daughter. The influence of her mother was like a chokehold. I'm so tired. Classmate Yai. He is really strong. Facing such a strong opponent, it's only natural that I can't win. You should be able to seize this opening I'm showing, right, classmate Yai? Finish me quickly, Liu Qingshu thought, then she delivered an intentionally weak strike. Why didn't you dodge? Classmate Qingshu, where has your fighting spirit gone? Since the start of the fight, I felt you were somewhat distracted. Have you ever taken me seriously? I am going to win this top scholar title fair and square. Get serious. The strike landed squarely on Liu Qingshu, but she was barely able to block it. You better start taking me seriously. I continued beating her to the ground, wanting her to fight seriously. This time I was clearly about to hand you the victory. Why do you keep pursuing me to fight? Don't hit a girl in the face. You damn bastard. Just then, an incredibly powerful martial energy erupted, blasting me away. That's it. If you don't want to be hit in the face, then get serious. The dust scattered, and a giant pair of purple, black wings spread open. This was the taboo martial art, blood ignition, revealing her magical beast's true form. Classmate Yai, as you wish. I will defeat you in my strongest form. You finally revealed your true magical beast form. This is much more interesting. In that case, I can't be lazy either. This was a body technique I created by combining the Godzilla template with hard Kaigom, called the nuclear light combat body. A massive explosion propelled me like a missile straight at Liu Qingshu. But she flapped her wings, gathering the surrounding airflow with martial energy, and attacked with the tearing hurricane technique. But I showed no fear, plunging into the hurricane like a torpedo, dispersing the hurricane with my explosive fist technique. Liu Qingshu then took a deep breath, and she opened her mouth and let out a loud sparrow cry. The visible sound waves clashed with my fist, eventually blasting me away. You think you're the only one who can scream? The protruding bones of my spine once again lit up with one blue glow after another. I won't fall for the same old trick again. I won't be defending. This time they'll unleash the Liu family's strongest move, and I will face you head on. Just then, I outputted atomic breath at maximum power. Meanwhile, Liu Qingshu had fully charged her attack as well. Bloodline ability, Netherworld Blood Thorns. Just before the attacks would collide, the mayor of Anshan, Huang King, used his own gene technique. The divine ley line wall erupted from the ground, between the two attacks. The intense martial energies crashed together in the middle. The divine ley line wall had dampened the damage that could have caused many casualties in the arena. Although he had timely released 3 divine ley line walls to slow down my and Liu Qingshu's full-powered attack, it was too hasty, and the 3 walls were not as sturdy as usual. At this moment, in the center of the arena, Liu Qingshu lay collapsed on the ground, her 2 wings completely scorched. One of her arms was also severely burnt. I can't give up, I can still fight. Then I stepped forward, looming over her, seemingly unharmed by the attack. If you don't remove the nuclear radiation from your body, you'll be crippled in the future. Liu Qingshu was silent for a moment, but then frustratingly complained, I never wanted to fight you to this extent, why did you have to drag me into it? Hearing this, I squatted down and looked her in the eye. Do you really not want to fight me, or are you rebelliously refusing to admit your competitive spirit? When I was fighting you just now, I could feel your desire for victory. Liu Qingshu fell silent again after hearing this. Because I was right. Just now, she was indeed thinking about winning against me. She contemplated her actions. What's wrong with me? I clearly hate fighting and wanted to lose to him quickly. But during that clash, I felt the exhilarating fighting spirit. Suddenly, I placed my hand on her shoulder, absorbing all the nuclear radiation from her body. You had too many distractions in your battle, that's why you lost. However, you are still the strongest opponent I have met so far. I hope we have a chance for a pure battle next time. Hearing my words, Liu Qingshu was visibly happy. Just then, the dust cleared to reveal myself, standing alone and proud. The first semifinal match is over. Yaihe from Anshan No. 1 high school wins. Shuzhou and I both advanced to the finals. The final battle of the Anshan College entrance exam began. The dark horse Yaihe versus the apex Shuzhou. Shuzhou's ice sword radiating a cold aura condensed in his palms. Please enlighten me, then come at me with all you got. Shuzhou moved like a mirage, unleashing towards me the 7-star steps. Multiple blades of martial energy were oncoming, but I had just reeled my fist and slammed down on the ground. The shockwaves were enough to break the oncoming attacks and mirage clones. Shuzhou looked at the crater in the arena, and felt a deep sense of dread. With his defensive power, he couldn't take me head-on. Since I can't fight him up close, I'll wear him down from a distance. Shuzhou immediately activated his bloodline awakening the Ice Elemental Dragon. Bloodline power, Ice Vein. A large number of ice spikes converged into an ice tsunami, rushing towards me. A small iceberg rose from the ground and had frozen me with the whole field. However, unleashing such a powerful burst of ice energy had taken a toll on Shuja's body. Look, the iceberg is starting to melt. The next moment, a brilliant blue energy beam pierced through the iceberg, shooting straight at Shujao. The ever-vigilant Shujo instantly manipulated the ground to raise an ice pillar, pushing himself away. The blue energy beam collided with Shuja's defense. Your ice dragon power has never worked on me, because it seems like I actually counter your abilities. Shujo had realized that the gap in our strength was far too great. Yehi, take my final move. This move is the limit of my current martial arts, originally intended for Liu Qingxiu. Then, a massive sword made of ice and martial energy emerged from his hands, reaching for the skies. The technique known as soul damaging, sword intent. The mayor was surprised at this display of technique. This is sword intent, a technique at such a young age. With all his power, Shujo had swung his massive sword down onto me. At that moment, a drop of blood fell to the ground. The only damage that Shujo could do was a small cut on the back of my armored hand. You might have a chance if you get a better sword in the future. Shujo could not believe his eyes. His ice sword infused with martial energy was broken to pieces. How much of a chance will I have? And I answered with a smile, a little better than a simp's chance of success. Shujo was speechless, then directly conceded defeat. The referee excitedly announced, Anshin College Entrance Exam Finals, yeah he wins. To the audience here and those watching the 24th Anshin College Entrance Exam via live broadcast. After 3 days of bloody battles, the top martial scholar of our Anshin city has finally been born. He is Yai from Anshin No. 1 High School. Student Yai, I hear that your strength came from a late surge, a culmination of accumulated efforts. Now that you've won the top scholar's throne, is there anything you'd like to say? I was impressed that the reporter could describe my cheating in such an elegant way. First, I want to thank my teacher. He was the one who didn't give up on me when I was at my lowest, who encouraged me and gave me the will to fight. Meanwhile, the head teacher was in tears for the praise he received. Just then, the principal in the front row of the spectator stand suddenly stood up. 2 million, yehi, promote our Anshin No. 1 High School, and I'll reward you with a 2 million scholarship. I want to thank my alma mater, thank my principal. Without his brilliant leadership. Finally, I want to thank myself. Without my own hard work and intelligence, he would definitely not have achieved today's glory. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the title of top scholar. You are rewarded with 1 random template ability draw. Hearing the system's prompt, I was instantly thrilled. I wondered if the next template I drew would be as powerful as Godzilla. I then excitedly headed towards the stadium exit. But as soon as I pushed open the door, I was surrounded by a forest of cameras and microphones. Student Yai, who do you think is prettier, Liu Qingxiu or Kai Shaoling? Hearing the reporter's question, I was utterly speechless and ran all the way to the basketball court. However, not long after I arrived to a quiet place, a man in a black trench coat found me. Student Yai, congratulations on winning the top scholar's throne. I'm from the imperial capital. Let's talk about the gene lock issue. This surprised me. I hadn't unlocked any gene lock. All my abilities came from the monster template. Did this guy know about my abilities? Who was he? The term gene lock, you heard it from your father. I confirmed this since according to the original host's memories, that was indeed the case. Student Yai, aren't you curious how your father, an ordinary taxi driver, knew this term that is completely out of line with his profession? Because of your special situation, the imperial capital can unseal a secret file for you. Without hesitation, I opened the file to read it. It recorded the Prometheus incident. Prometheus, once a leading genetics institute on Blue Star, was shut down after a certain incident, forcing its researchers into hiding. Among its key projects was the gene lock technology. So they thought my cheap dad was a senior researcher at Prometheus, and I was Prometheus's secret research result. Student Yai, please rest assured, the country will not make things difficult for you. I came here this time just to let you understand the situation. Moreover, you are a key target for national training, and we will protect your safety at all times. Hearing this, I nodded and didn't continue the conversation. After sending him away, I was greatly thrilled. I really hit the jackpot with this college entrance exam. I managed to garner a scholarship and a ticket to the Imperial University. Of course, the most important thing was that I could draw a new template ability. Although I knew that a powerful template like the legendary Godzilla was a rare find, I was still full of anticipation. After I clicked to draw, a black vortex appeared on the panel again, and the roars of countless monsters came from within. It wasn't until the sound of earth, scattering footsteps echoed that I understood what template I had drawn this time. Rank template, Colossal Titan. Bloodline abilities, 60, Eater Gigantification, High Temperature Steam. Advanced form, Founding Titan. Compatibility, 1. After reading the information, I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. But then I realized that the abilities of the templates could be stacked. If the Colossal Titan template was stacked with the legendary Godzilla template, I would become the true king of monsters, Godzilla. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit room, Huolong's index finger tapped incessantly on the mahogany table beneath him, quickly creating a series of dents. His younger brother, Huo Peng, had been missing for half a month. The rescue team sent into the secret realm to search couldn't even find his body. However, the rescue team found a small amount of nuclear radiation from the location, and he quickly realized who the killer could be. He must be a rare genius in ancient. Imperial University will be fighting to get him. But it's a pity they won't live to see he enroll. A few days later, I was preparing to go to the secret realm to test my idea of stacking the Godzilla template with the Colossal Titan template. But before I could set off, I received a letter from Chuzhou. According to the investigation by the Imperial Central Research Institute, a new secret realm rift is scheduled to open this afternoon at 3 o'clock at Red Tree Mountain in the suburbs of Encheng City. The estimated secret realm level is around T. I want to explore this secret realm. Do you want to team up with me? I was greatly shocked by this, that Chuzhou had still written a physical letter in the current era. Later that afternoon, over 1,000 martial artists gathered here in Red Tree Mountain, since new secret realms were indeed highly sought after. Soon enough, I successfully met up with Chuzhou outside Red Tree Mountain. You've gotten stronger again. Hearing this, I chuckled. I didn't expect this guy's senses to be so sharp. I had upgraded the compatibility of the Colossal Titan template to 35. It would seem like lower level monster templates produced results way faster. Chuzhou, what university are you going to apply for? Without hesitation, he answered Imperial University, so it seemed we would be schoolmates in the future. As soon as I finished speaking, the crowd erupted. The secret realm is opening. The secret realm had even released a bird, like monster our way. But unfortunately, what awaited it were thousands of fully armed martial artists. The martial artists let out a battle cry that shook the mountains and forests, all of them charging forward ferociously. The three-headed strange bird looked in terror at the thousands of martial artists swarming towards it like madmen. It wanted to retreat, but awkwardly, it was stuck. And it was soon easily defeated. After the battle, the group continued deeper. Chuzhou and I followed the large group of martial artists into the secret realm. The thick smell of blood filled our nostrils. A beast tide had already gathered inside the secret realm. The martial artists were currently fighting the beast tide, and the sounds of roars and wails all merged, creating a cruel and bloody symphony of war. Chuzhou activated his bloodline, releasing a large swath of ice flow to freeze the feet of the magical beasts in front. On the other side, I had already killed dozens of magical beasts. Chuzhou was shocked that I had already slain so many. It was evident that the magical beasts died and melted from my extreme nuclear radiation. On the battlefield, I was like a humanoid nuclear contamination source, releasing radiation without restraint. Wherever I went, life began to decay and die. The other martial artists recognized what I was doing, and had formed a protective positioning. At that moment, a signal flare lit up in the sky. The leader of the beast tide must have been defeated, and the beast tide even began retreating. Of the 1,000 martial artists who had gathered, only about 800 remained. I walked over to Chuzhou with several large sacks on my back. How did you get so many magic cores? This is my spatial ring, you can put them in here for now. A spatial ring is worth tens of millions. I didn't realize you were a rich guy, Chuzhou. Just then, the raid leader, Wuzhen, had come back. It's a good thing the high-level martial artists went to kill the lower-level magical beasts, otherwise we would have all been exhausted to death in the beast horde. Hello, our ancient's top teller. My name is Wuzhen, and I'm the branch leader of the Silver Wolf martial troop in Ancient. I just heard from my members about your heroic performance. I wonder if you would be willing to join our martial troop. Joining will not affect your university studies. In fact, it will allow you to enjoy various subsidies and benefits. Wuzhen, am willing to offer you an rank member contract. Wuzhen's words immediately made the surrounding martial artists envious. The Silver Wolf martial troop was considered a large martial troop throughout the entire kingdom. Meaning an rank contract is incredibly rare for a student. Wuzhen, I was wondering why you ran so fast. It turns out you were rushing ahead to recruit people. Student join our Chenda martial troop. Although our troop is smaller than Silver Wolf, you will enjoy 15 of our troop's monthly cultivation resources. As soon as she said this, all the martial artists' eyes widened. Sorry, I currently have no intention of joining a martial troop. Wuzhen and the others were not surprised by my answer. They considered this recruitment attempt as just a way to build a good relationship. The beast tide crisis was over, which meant the martial artists were free to explore. Chuzhou and I first flew to the tops of the trees, planning to get a full view of the entire area before making a plan. But as soon as we got up there, we were both stunned. In the far distance, by a high mountain, a group of black humanoid creatures were moving slowly. Their bodies were as huge as the mountains. We are still young. In the next few years, we might not only be able to conquer these secret realm magical beasts but even figure out the truth of the secret realms. Shuju was a bit speechless. It seemed that not only in martial arts, but even in willpower, he couldn't compare to Yahi. Yahi was the true martial artist. At this moment, I detected a strange place through my life magnetic field. It was a lake, and the location of the lake was a complete blank, like a vacuum. The bigger the waves, the more expensive the fish. I decisively decided to take Shujo to the lake to try our luck. Soon, we passed through the giant tree forest, and arrived at the lake. When we arrived, 3 people had already gathered here, and one of them was a familiar face, Huang Yuli, the one who had once given me a discount business card. Isn't this our top scholar Yai? I never thought you. Little guy, we're so amazing. Sister Yuli, how long have you been here? We just arrived. 2 of our teammates who are good at swimming went down to scout the lake. Suddenly, a figure leaped out of the water. We struck it rich. We're going to be rich. There's a relic at the bottom of the lake. We're going to make a fortune. I asked Shuju what they were talking about. In the secret realm world, there were some mysterious buildings believed to be left by a previous civilization of the secret realm, which experts collectively called relics. After Yu Yang finished his report, he immediately looked at me and Shuju with hostility. Who are you two? How dare you eavesdrop on us? Huang Yuli immediately introduced us, and that we could help with exploring the ruins. As for the rewards, they were free to give us what we contributed. Yu Yang led the way, and the others followed him into the lake. Easily, we were able to dive deep within the lake. And eventually, we reached a big cave. Strange, where's that guy Li Wei? Didn't I tell him to guard here? He took out a walkie-talkie and called Li Wei several times, but there was no response. This place seems very dangerous, and Li Wei is missing. Should we still explore? We must explore. If you don't dare to pick up the riches and honor laid out before you, you'll be a bottom-tier martial artist for life. In that case, let's go. Yu Yang walked in front, leading the way for everyone. Because of Li Wei's disappearance, the group was now very silent, on guard against any possible danger. Something's not right, the timing is off. Huang Yuli said their team had just arrived at the lake, which means at most 10 minutes have passed. Yet Yu Yang and Li Wei were able to find this cave at the bottom of a huge lake, pass through the underground cavern, and find such a hidden route to the relics. It's like they have a map hack in a game. It's obviously a trap. Should we warn your acquaintance and leave? No rush. I have a trump card. Emerging from the narrow path, there was a massive cavern, with dense, dark green vines covering every corner. Many vines were wrapped around the corpses of magical beasts. The relics you mentioned, where are they? Just as she finished speaking, a teammate suddenly screamed. Where she was pointing, the shriveled corpse of Li Wei, pierced by vines, hung in midair. Suddenly, Yu Yang was already kneeling on the ground, muttering to himself, why are there no relics here? Where did the relics go? Li Wei is dead. How did he die? The vines. I think I was also by the vines. You guys, run. The next moment, with a squish, his head exploded like a firework. Several vines extended from the opening in his head, swaying like the tentacles of a demon. While everyone was stunned, I directly used atomic breath. A brilliant blue beam of light engulfed Yu Yang's upper body, and those strange vines were also annihilated by the atomic energy. I didn't expect a magical beast to have such intelligence. After hunting 2 martial artists, it parasitized one of their brains, using him as bait to lure more prey. It seems we've been lured into its hunting ground. Just then, the passage we came from had been crushed by the vines, blocking our retreat. This is a second-tier king-level magical beast species, the ghost demon vine. A king-level bloodline can't be measured by ordinary levels. This level is not something a few first-tier martial artists like us can fight against. Whatever level it is, just watch me smash it to pieces. Just as I was about to enter Colossal Titan mode, with a boom, the collapsed passage behind me was blasted open. A mysterious martial artist, bursting with terrifying blood energy, swept in. I've come for your life, Yahi. I heard of someone in the Red Tree Mountain secret realm who used nuclear radiation to resist the beast tide, though I knew it was you. By following the residual radiation, I tracked you to the underground cavern, holding my breath to avoid detection. Yet you still discovered me, blocking the passage with a boulder and even sensing me when I entered suspended animation, halting my breath and heartbeat. Truly, only you could drive my Huo family brothers to their limits. Who are you, uncle? He suddenly rushed in and said a bunch of gibberish. Do we know each other? Stop pretending. Go to hell. Huo Long roared, and he leaped to attack me. Is this the lair of the ghost demon vine, luring me into a monster's nest and letting the monster deal with me? Damn it, was this also your plan, Yahi? The ghost demon vine's characteristic is to absorb martial energy and release neurotoxins. If this drags on, I'll definitely be defeated here. Damn you, you dared to set me up. Uncle, you have a lot of inner drama. This is our first time meeting, right? Huolong, now annoyed, unleashed his martial energy to push away the vines. Not good, this cavern is going to collapse because of their battle. Everyone, get out of the way. With my body covered in scales, I was charging another maximum power atomic breath. Releasing the torrent of blue light, it broke through the rock layer above. A large amount of lake water poured into the cavern from the opening above, and a passage to the outside was open. Sister Yuli, you guys go first. Don't even think about running. Xu Zhao unleashed his bloodline ability, soul damaging sword intent, blocking Huolong's attack with a wall of ice. As long as I am here, you won't touch a single hair on Yaihe's head. Little brat, I'm a level 8 martial artist. This little bit of frost can't hurt me. While he was talking, I suddenly got close and used Atomic Blast Fist. A brilliant blue light illuminated the entire underground cavern, and Huolong was sent flying into the stone wall. You go first. That guy is a high-level martial artist. It'll be a bit difficult for you to deal with him now. You can leave this guy to me. Hearing my words, Shuju knew he couldn't help much anymore, so he decisively retreated, not causing me any trouble. With a loud boom, a brilliant blue lightning bolt shot out from the lake, illuminating the entire lake. Just then, the body of the colossal titan had emerged from the lake. Meanwhile, Huolong was completely burnt and incapacitated from the hot steam and radiation. Shujoin. The others vaguely saw a huge shadow loomed over them in the fog. Just as they were on guard, I crawled out of the river water. What was that explosion just now? It was that mysterious martial artist. He actually brought an electric plasma bomb and took the ghost demon vine down with him. There seemed to be a giant in the smoke. No, it was just the explosion. You saw it wrong. Unfortunately, my opponent was burnt to a crisp, so I couldn't loot his body. But it's a good thing he still managed to grab the ghost demon vine's magic core. We'll be leaving first. We're sorry for not only making you come along for nothing but also troubling you to save us. When you leave the secret realm, we'll compensate you. But I disregarded the compensation, and instead it was the repayment for the previous favor. So, Xu Zhao, the next thing on our schedule is happy killing monster time. After 3 days of non-stop hunting, we were already heading back to the secret realm entrance. But we were surprised at the sight. In just a few days, the entrance has already been developed into a town. Later in the appraisal office, I provided them with a huge sack of magic cores. Forgive me for being too rash, I'd prefer the appraisal be finished before noon. The staff assured me that they were professionals, so I sighed and took off my spatial ring. Surprisingly, I had taken out bag after bag. The staff could only think that we were hauling these magic cores. Sir, have you finished taking them all out? That part is done, but you better hurry up since I still have spiritual medicine to unload. After appraising the magic cores, I went to the spiritual herb appraisal office. Now, green and white quality magic cores were no longer useful for my improvement, so I could sell them all for money. The 5 third-tier blue magic cores I collected while fighting the beast tide, and the green magic core with golden veins from the 2nd-tier king, BC's ghost demon vine, were the biggest gains. After selling all these things, I had over 20 million in my bank account. Looking at the long string of zeros after the number, I no longer felt the same joy as before. Since genetic potions and the lower grade magic cores doesn't improve my monster template any longer. The template sure has a picky appetite. I don't have the proper qualifications for buying high-end materials yet. However, there was another path to improve my strength, martial arts. In the college entrance exam, I was able to suppress Liu Qingshu and the others entirely because of the powerful stats of the Godzilla template. But in terms of martial techniques, I couldn't even compare to those martial arts prodigies. So what I needed to do now was to get my hands on those powerful martial techniques. As for who around me had the most connections in society and could help me get high-level martial techniques, there was only one person. The principal of Ansheng's No. 1 high school. Soon after, I arrived at the principal's office. The principal of Ansheng's No. 1 high school made me a cup of tea. With his seasoned experience, he could naturally tell that I had a favor to ask. I immediately took out a bottle of expensive white wine. Principal, it's like this. I want to learn some powerful martial techniques. Do you have any connections? You've already applied to Imperial University, and you'll surely be accepted. Why don't you wait until you're in university to learn martial techniques? You're in too much of a hurry. Principal, I am too eager to improve. Alright, I can help you with this. Teachers are meant to guide according to the student's aptitude. Time quickly passed to noon the next day. The principal called as expected. Hello, I've arranged things for you. You can go now. Thank you, Principal. May I ask which martial artist family it is? What? The Liu family of Ansheng is willing to teach me their family's secret arts. Soon after, on the road to the Liu family's estate, Liu Chenji was driving with a blonde lady on the back. Brother J, you're so awesome. Just as he was about to brag, a dazzling yellow shared bicycle appeared beside him. Brother, don't get distracted while driving at high speeds. Damn it, are you crazy? You scared me to death, riding a broken shared bike and daring to race me. he said as he twisted the throttle to the max. You are not worthy to be riding alongside me. I remained silent for a second. But suddenly a large blue explosion erupted behind them. I quickly overtook him, leaving a blue blur. See you later, Shenji little bro. The rocket tail flame like blue rainbow light propelled me, as if I were flying at low altitude. Our bicycle's this fast now. That's almost the speed of a plane, right? Half an hour later, I finally arrived at the Liu family estate. As expected of a martial arts family, the residence was so grand. The estate was built like a castle. At the same time, several powerful presences appeared in my life magnetic field. At the entrance of the estate, a graceful figure in a white dress walked over. It was Liu Qingshu. She greeted me with a hint of nervousness. You're here, classmate Yae. My mother asked me to welcome you. Let's go see her now. I nodded and followed behind her. Walking on the expensive, high-end carpet, we entered a delicately and grandly decorated hall. Mother, Yae has arrived now. The head of the Liu family, Qin Lim, descended the stairs, welcoming me to their house. Not long after the college entrance exam, Liu Qingshu returned home. She had expected a scolding from her strict mother and was prepared to accept punishment. But unexpectedly, her mother just called her to the study and, for the first time in a long time, they sat down to have tea together. Qingshu, don't be nervous. I watched the live broadcast of your battle with that boy named Yae. You did very well. Yae's strength would be a dark horse even in the Imperial Capital's college entrance exam. You don't need to blame yourself. In your generation of the Liu family, only you are capable of taking on the responsibility. Your brother's talent is limited. He can't inherit the Liu family at all. But you are a girl after all, and so beautiful. Your father passed away early, and now our Liu family doesn't have a grandmaster as a backer. Our family's power has been forced to retreat to this small ancient. If a large family demands a marriage alliance with you, we have no right to refuse, and this means the Liu family will be annexed, and our 100 years of foundation will be handed over. And so, I want to arrange you and Yae to be together. Yae is very good, with outstanding talent, a simple family background, and a limitless future. From my observation, he is by no means an ambitious and ruthless person. You don't have to answer now. You can get to know Yae first. At this moment, Qin Lan walked down the stairs. Welcome to the Liu family, Yae. Although, auntie. This is a small token of my appreciation for you. I heard from the principal of Anjing's No. One high school that you want to learn some advanced martial techniques. Let Qingshu show you the way. Hearing this, I was surprised. I didn't expect Qin Lan to be so generous. Qingshu will take you to the Liu family's martial arts repository. Because the martial techniques in the repository are forbidden to be taken out, you only have 1 day to study inside. In the depths of the repository, there are 3 profound, martial techniques. Whether you can learn them depends on your ability. Then Yae thanks the Liu family in advance. Qin Lan recognized that he specifically thanked the Liu family, as if I was making a promise to the family itself. And she was satisfied with this, hoping that I will fulfill my promise in the future. Afterward, Liu Qingshu took me to the martial arts repository. Student Qingshu, why do I feel like your eyes are always avoiding mine? I suddenly quickened my pace and stood in front of her, meeting her panic-like eyes. Emma, why are you standing so close? I followed her to an underground stone chamber. This is force-dissipating stone, a special stone excavated from a secret realm. It can withstand the attacks of a profound, yellow master martial artist without shattering. Can I punch it? You can very well try. I immediately clenched my fist, every cell in my body undergoing a violent reaction of atomic energy. A brilliant blue light covered my fist, and the fist tore through the air, striking the stone wall. The blue energy impact surprisingly didn't explode, but was completely absorbed by the stone wall. It's completely unharmed. It was like punching the sea, sinking into a swamp, and more than 90% of the force was absorbed. Let's go, I'll take you inside to choose a martial technique. The martial techniques here are categorized by movement techniques, defense, body tempering, swordsmanship, and so on. Whichever book you want to learn, just use this identity card to open the permission. The profound, yellow martial techniques are in the innermost small stone chamber, which is also accessed by swiping the card. But you won't be able to comprehend a profound, yellow martial technique in 1 day. At most, you'll learn a little bit. I can pick a few martial techniques for you that are second only to profound yellow and suitable for you. Are you thinking for my sake? With a profound yellow martial technique right in front of me, if I want to learn, I'll naturally learn the strongest. Seeing my persistence, Liu Qingshu didn't say any more and directly opened the black stone door of the secret chamber. 3 safes appeared in front of me, the fleeting shadow transformation, and the primordial jade finger. The third one was the devil in the flesh, which Liu Qingshu did not use in the battle. To learn profound, Delo martial techniques, one must feel the martial rhyme left by its creator, not just see it. If you can't sense it, or if your attributes clash with it, you can't practice it. In truth, these techniques are alive, they choose the martial artist, not the other way around. Then I must be the chosen one for the devil in the flesh technique. Liu Qingshu then opened the safe, revealing a ferocious bronze statue inside. Isn't a profound Delo martial technique a book? Profound Delo martial techniques are not just statues. They can also be paintings or utensils. Anything can become a carrier of martial rhyme. This is the wonder of a grandmaster. Only a grandmaster can condense martial rhyme and attach it to an object to pass on their legacy to future generations. The rest is up to you. If you have the affinity, you will naturally feel the martial rhyme. I circled around the statue of a strong man a few times, unable to figure out how to feel the martial rhyme. If it's all about affinity, then I'll just take a nap. I immediately lay down and fell asleep, which made Liu Qingshu, who was watching on the monitor, silently annoyed. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself in a dilapidated temple. It was covered in cobwebs and dust, and even the angry-faced bodhisattva on the altar had a broken arm. Is this what they call sensing the martial rhyme? Am I in the world of martial rhyme now? I couldn't feel any martial energy. Not even Godzilla's nuclear reaction. I seemed to have returned to the form of an ordinary person. But thankfully, my monster template was still there. It had prevented me from dying by blessing my spiritual body. Only a true man can inherit my martial arts, otherwise I'd rather let my legacy rot in the ground. Boy, prove to me that you're a man of steel. When the storm rages, there will be 100 ghosts parading at night. At that time, you'll guard this broken temple for me and don't let these angry-faced bodhisattvas be defiled by the evil ghosts. If you succeed, I'll reluctantly teach you my skills. If you fail, you'll go mad and never practice martial arts ever again. A cold drop of rain fell through the dilapidated ceiling onto my face. The man disappeared. It looks like the trial is beginning. I then found a rusty, broken sword behind the angry-faced bodhisattva's altar, and stood at the entrance of the broken temple, one man and one sword. The rumbling thunder continued, and the pale lightning illuminated my face. This lightning seemed to be a signal, causing the dark world outside to boil. A shadow had pounced towards me, and I met it with a direct slash. The moment the sword blade touched the shadow, the rusty sword body burst with a golden light. As expected, the trial wouldn't let a martial artist fight 100 ghosts with their bare hands. There must be hidden items around. I became excited and no longer defended the broken temple but took the initiative to attack, rushing out with my sword into the darkness. The 100 ghosts in this trial carry my baleful aura. For a mere martial apprentice to leave the temple's protection is courting death. Another fool. It seems martial artists grow weaker with each generation. The ferocious man sighed, and just as he was about to go outside to collect my body, he had realized something. How did this kid do it? Why can't the 100 ghosts get close to him? It seems like the system has made me immune to the attacks in this spiritual world, being at an invincible golden body inside this world. With this realization, I had went all out and continually struck any ghost that got close. Oi, how did you do it? How are you able to be unaffected by my martial rhyme? Nothing else, just diligent practice. I like your excuse. Since you have passed the test, I will pass on the technique to you. However, it depends on whether you will be able to handle it. The angry-faced bodhisattva in the broken temple collapsed, revealing a dry well it was suppressing. This well contains the essence of the baleful aura I condensed in my lifetime. The devil in the fleshy technique is also at the bottom of the well. If you can refine it, before he could even finish, I had already dived into the well. Alright, I've never seen such a unique young man. In his prime, the ferocious man was a hero who had braved and shrank secret realm. He had both succeeded and failed because of the devil in the flesh. As he grew old, and his energy and blood began to decline, the baleful aura and vengeful spirits suppressed in his body began to backlash. He not only went mad but also committed murder against those around him. In order not to make another mistake, he chose to end himself, and before he died, he mixed his life's vengeful spirits and baleful aura with his martial rhyme, casting them together into the statue carrier. Though a century has passed, and the baleful aura has dissipated, it remains far beyond what a martial apprentice can endure. If I can subdue the aura that defeated him, I will surely surpass him on the path of the devil in the flesh. In the monitoring room, Qin Lan came to Liu Qingshu's side, and they both watched me, who had already entered the martial rhymes base. But then, something started to happen to my unconscious body. Mother, what's going on? When he first fell asleep, he had a smug smile on his face, as if he was having a happy dream. Now he's suddenly convulsing and bleeding all over. This third profound, yellow martial technique was an accidental find by your grandfather in his later years. He once tried to cultivate it, but despite his grandmaster level strength, the statue's martial rhyme rejected him, leaving him injured. Since then, none of the Liu family has mastered this technique. Such extraordinary power demands a price only the worthy can endure. Since he chose to accept the power of this martial technique, then he... But suddenly, I had woken up and was even stretching, as if I had slept very comfortably. Thank you for teaching me the martial art, elder. My mind still echoed with the last words of the ferocious man. Boy, you are the most talented person I have ever seen. Maybe you can find out the truth of the secret realms. This is something our predecessors have never accomplished, so I leave it to you juniors. But what the ferocious man didn't know was that I completely cheated the test. Devil in the flesh, the body is like Shira. Although my panel stats hadn't increased at all, now that I had mastered a profound, yellow martial technique, my combat power is now doubled. You've mastered it. Yes, they've mastered it. How is that possible? Even with Kingshu's talent to initially master a profound, yellow martial technique, she had to stay in the martial rhyme space for a week without sleep. You really just learned it by taking a 1-hour nap. Seeing their doubtful gazes, I decided to show the mother and daughter what I could do. They immediately circulated my martial energy. This was the evil spirit I had mastered from the martial rhyme world. To explain it, it was probably like an enchantment in a game, which could be added to my martial energy, making it more lethal. Mountain blocking fist. And a fist wrapped in black, red baleful aura was thrown out. Liu Qingshu thought to herself, such a strong aftershock. There was even a ghost-like howl. Like what he mentioned. Qin Lan looked at me with an inexplicable gaze. She didn't expect that she had still underestimated me. I was very embarrassed by Qin Lan's fiery gaze. Student since you have already mastered one profound yellow martial technique, do you want to learn the other two? You still have 1 day to study. After hearing this, Qin Lan glanced at her daughter helplessly. Although she was investing in me, and was prepared to take me as her golden goose of a son-in-law, I was ultimately not a member of the Liu family yet. She couldn't just give me all of the Liu family's heritage. No need, student Qingshu. One profound, yellow martial technique is enough for me to digest for a long time. I won't learn any other martial techniques for now. Auntie, I'm a little tired, and I have some things to deal with at home. I heard from the butler that you came here on a shared bike. Do you know how to drive? Pick a car from the garage and go. It'll be more convenient for you. Speaking of which, I immediately remembered the young man and met on the way here. Auntie, do you have a motorcycle? Yes, you like to ride motorcycles. You have the same hobby as my troublesome son. I'll give you the best one he has in his collection. A few minutes later, Liu Chengjie returned home. That kid on the shared bike was so annoying. He scared away the new girl I just picked up. Don't let me see him again. Just as he was fuming, something suddenly whizzed past him. Isn't that the kid on the shared bike? Why is he riding my motorcycle? Time quickly passed to the evening. After returning home, I took out the 5 magic cores I had left from the secret realm, preparing to absorb them all at once. This time, I specially prepared some soul-stirring dipping sauce to enhance the flavor. I picked up a piece of the magic core, dipped it in a sauce, and swallowed it. A hot current instantly filled my limbs. I then summoned the panel, and added all the increased points to the Colossal Titan template. Then I continued to pick up the green magic core with golden fins, and swallowed it. But just as I was about to have the Godzilla template absorb this special magic core, an unexpected prompt appeared. The legendary Godzilla template has absorbed the gene sequence of a special plant life form, resulting in a special mutation. Does the host wish to prevent the template from mutating? I hesitated for a moment. Mutation meant it would become a monster template with different attributes. If it became an advantageous attribute, that would be great. But if it became a disadvantageous attribute, it would be a reverse evolution. To hell with it. Let's take a gamble. I then clicked the Do Not Prevent option. The next second, the prompt sounded again. Legendary Godzilla is loading the plant attribute mutation path, unlocking this rank isotope template, Godzilla When the legendary Godzilla template reaches 100, there is a 2 chance of transforming into the Godzilla Earth template. I was greatly satisfied with the successful gamble, and the name sounded powerful as well. However, I needed to reach 100 compatibility to unlock this, and I couldn't wait any longer. Just as I was planning for the future, a huge explosion suddenly sounded outside. What's going on? A terrorist attack? I looked out the window and saw that the SWAT team had already sealed off the area, as if they were searching for someone. Just then, a knock came from the apartment door. I was a loner and didn't have any friends who would visit, nor had I ordered any delivery. So who could be outside? Do you know who it is, miss? It seems the little brother is not an ordinary martial artist. I was just planning to hide something here and modify your memory. Since you've discovered me, I'll have to make you suffer a little. You'd better not run. Forget it, I have so much in savings anyway. I'll just buy another apartment. What are you talking about? I'm saying you're already dead. Meanwhile, on the street below, several police were fighting with a man. The man, although injured under the siege of many police, had a relaxed smile on his face. Yao Jaime, you must get the golden gene out of here. He will draw their fire for you. Come at me, trading my one life for all of you is worth it. Just then, a dark figure fell in front of him, creating a large pit in the ground. Yao Jaime, why is your white nano battle suit now burnt black? Sis, I risked my life to get you and the thing out. What happened? They've hidden the thing. Let's retreat first. With that, she took out a large number of special smoke bombs, threw them on the ground, and then escaped with Ju Yai through the sewers. Later, the two emerged from a small alley. Finally lost the cops now. You still haven't explained to me why you trespassed into my home. I guess you just happened to pick this great one's place when you were randomly choosing a resident, right? As a reward for trespassing, I'll play with you properly. How did you find us? Of course, I wouldn't explain to him that I could track Yao Jaime's radiated body. This is the perfect time to test out the devil in the flesh technique. My fist instantly smashed towards Ju Yai. Under the enhancement of the black, but baleful aura, the fist also underwent a violent cell-level atomic reaction. A black, but energy lightning bolt erupted, and he was sent crashing into the cement. Yao Jaime watched Ju Yai being sent flying and couldn't help but gasp. Whose disciple are you? My master is Godzilla. At this moment, Ju Yai struggled to his feet, steam rising from his bloody arms. This was the true form of a magical beast, the iron-crowned rhino. Now this is more like it. Just as my attention was focused on Ju Yai, Yao Jaime used her nano-battlesuit's optical camouflage to launch a surprise attack from behind. However, as soon as she got close, she was hit in the abdomen by an atomic beam shot from my fingertip. Her battlesuit was damaged, and she was sent flying. Yao Jaime is useless. Even her sneak attack failed. Ju Yai roared and charged at me like a runaway train. My eyes showed an excited fighting spirit. The next moment, our two fists met, and the air vibrated with a visible, distorted ripple. However, I was caught off guard. Even with my buffs, his defense had seemingly increased so much that it could withstand my attack. My iron-crowned rhino true form can easily block even a tank shell. What are you going to use to break my defense? But my attack power has also increased even more. Go to hell, and Ju Yai directly closed in for close quarters combat. Little brat, no matter how arrogant you are, you're still no match for my iron-crowned rhino. Wait, where did he go? Just then, Ju Yai sensed something watching him. At this moment, a gigantic titan loomed over Ju Yai. Is this a magical beast? Where did it come from? Could it be that kid transform? A large hand parted the clouds and slapped directly at him. However, Ju Yai managed to instinctively jump to dodge. But the titan's other fist had already descended upon him with the force of a mountain. He was directly crashed into the ground, as he couldn't dodge mid-air. But this was just the titan's first punch. A violent barrage of fists rained down upon Ju Yai, completely destroying him. At this moment, Yao Jaime, who was struggling to get up, trembled all over at this scene. I'm such a fool, why did I provoke this monster? If this continues, Ju Yai will be beaten to death. I can't escape. I can only fight to the death. After some thought, a yellow thread appeared in her hand. While Ju Yai was taking the giant's punches, she jumped down from a tall building, her body spinning as she came to the giant's throat with a molecular thread strong enough to cut high-grade alloys. The titan you transformed into through some gene technique is powerful, but the weaknesses of the human body must not have changed. Just like that, the head of the titan was completely cut clean off, crash landing right in front of her. Did I finally succeed? Suddenly, the titan's mouth suddenly opened, and a blue light of destruction brewed in its throat. The sound of gradually increasing energy hummed in Yao Jaime's ears. With a loud boom, the atomic breath completely engulfed Yao Jaime, then pierced through a large building, drawing a brilliant blue streak across the sky. After the breath attack ended, the giant's massive body vented a large amount of hot steam like a steam engine, and I returned to my human form from the hot steam, walking up to Zhu Yi and looking at him indifferently. It's your turn. Those who kill must be prepared to be killed. It's only fair after all. At this moment, the distant sirens were getting closer. Even if I die, you won't live long. Yao Naomi has already hidden the golden gene in your room. Now the golden gene is yours. You will face endless pursuit. You talk too damn much with your empty threats. The police are here. I need to dispose of the bodies quickly. I might have went a bit too far this time. After disposing of the 2 bodies, I returned home. I first sent a message to Qin Lan, asking her to help pull some strings, because I had used the highly recognizable atomic breath, and the police would inevitably come to take a statement afterward. After finishing the call with Qin Lan, I found the golden gene Zhu Yi mentioned in the room. It was a sealed cylindrical smallkin with a Laser Bird Company logo on it. It seemed those 2 had stolen this thing from Laser Bird, and were facing various pursuits while on the run. From what he said, it seemed he was framing me for this. It looks like I have to move. I'll find a hotel for tonight. Sometime later, in the BU Bank Secret Realm, inner region of Swan Lake, a group of martial artists had just finished hunting a magical beast. But suddenly, they had seen something terrifying come their way. Countless magical beasts filled the entire horizon, and the sound of footsteps rolled like thunder, crushing everything in their path into pieces. On the head of a crocodile, like magical beast larger than a mountain peak, there was a throne made of white bones. A black ape sat on the white bone throne. This was the 5th-tier sovereign class magical beast, the blood-eyed black ape. Quickly, notify the army, and sovereign class magical beast is leading a large-scale beast high. Ancient can't hold them. We would need grandmasters and senior grandmasters for support. Tanit, high-level beasts rarely leave their own territory. Why is this happening now? The black ape sitting on the white bone throne sensed their presence. It slowly opened its scarlet eyes and glanced at the martial artist team. The crocodile's mouth opened, roaring loudly. Suddenly, spiraling rock missiles aimed right at the running martial artists. The martial artist desperately requested backup on his communication device. But at that moment, he was still crushed to death. However, the message of a sovereign incursion was confirmed by the walkie-talkie. The black ape also stood up from the white bone throne at this time, and actually spoke human words. Full speed ahead, the beast tide was headed for the secret realm Rhea. Soon after, a high-pitched, sharp alarm for an incoming beast tide sounded. The mayor's voice then sounded on the broadcast. It is estimated to break through and reach Ansheng in 20 minutes. All current martial artists have been deployed to the front lines to resist the beast tide. All martial artists, come in support. In the mayor's office, Huang Qing's brow was furrowed. He made one call after another, trying to get reinforcements to buy as much time as possible for Ansheng. But this time, Ansheng was not the only city to encounter a large-scale beast tide invasion. Many places across the country had issued beast tide invasion warnings. And unfortunately, the neighboring region of Imperial City was also facing an outbreak, meaning that the Imperial City forces would lend their aid over there, instead of Ansheng. There's no time to waste. The battle to defend Ansheng has begun. Now, we can only rely on ourselves. At this time, in Shuju's house, me and him were training together, sparring like good friends. I was even impressed that Shuju managed to take my punch directly. Suddenly, we heard the alarm for the beast tide trigger. An evacuation alert even sounded on Shuju's phone. So I then asked Shuju if he wanted to go. Shuju directly shook his head. Are you staying too? I think with your talent, it's best if you leave. So much nonsense, don't be so sentimental. Since you're not leaving, let's go fight together. Meanwhile, in the Li family estate, Liu Qingshi wanted to go fight the beast tide but was stopped by Qin Lan. How confident are you of surviving? Ansheng has only 30,000 martial artists. That's a mere sailboat before a storm, destined to be swallowed whole. And a sovereign-class magical beast is simply not a monster that the current Ansheng can face. That's a being that only a grandmaster can barely fight against. King Shu, your life is not just your own. It's the entire family's. A martial artist family that can't resist magical beasts doesn't deserve to survive. On Yi. We are leaving Ansheng. As for Yi, he'd send him a message and see what he chooses. Meanwhile, in the Swan Lake secret realm where the beast tide invaded, 60% of Ansheng's army, and all high-level martial artists above the martial master level had entered. This vanguard had one mission, to find out what the high-class magical beasts could do. A temporary military defensive line had already been established at the entrance of the sacred realm. This was the final line of defense for Ansheng. Mayor Huangqing stood there proud, hoping that the vanguard could make it out alive. Suddenly, a martial artist with a severed arm and covered in blood stumbled out of the secret realm rift. He held a USB drive in his hand, which contained all the achievements of the vanguard. But where are the others? They're all dead, Mayor. The beast tide trampled everything. We couldn't even bring back the bodies. We must be careful of that blood-eyed black ape. It tricked us. Otherwise, at least a few thousand of us could have made it out alive. As he spoke, a huge stone cone spun out of the secret realm, directly piercing a large building in the distance. The debris from the damage had started to fall onto the defensive preparations. Countless buried landmines were being detonated. They were trying to blow up the unfinished defense. Damn it, it's an attack from the secret realm Tank Company, don't hold back, fire at the secret realm rift for me. The tanks and anti-aircraft guns in the rear instantly opened fire, and the soaring flames directly engulfed the secret realm rift. They're not sending out magical beasts, but first using long-range attacks to exhaust our strength. How can magical beasts use tactics like humans? Damn it, you damn beasts. Another wave of stone cones broke through the secret realm rift, crashing nearby the retreating tanks. In the dust, a dark silhouette moved. Magical beasts has broken into the defense. The rat-like magical beast had chomped the head of a martial artist clean off. The infiltrating magical beast had then charged at the martial artists nearby. Huangqing ordered the tanks to shoot the stone spikes, since that's how the magical beasts were infiltrating their defenses. But this also led to a decrease in the suppressive fire attacking the secret realm side. It's about time. The humans are already powerless to resist. Soldiers, trample that land for me. The beast tide rushed towards the secret realm rift. The white-furred giant ape king withstood the bombardment of several cannonballs as it charged out. The fist line of defense was utterly destroyed. At this moment, I stood on the rooftop of a tall building. After today, who knows what Ansheng will become. Ansheng became a place I grew fond of. I naturally didn't want this city to be destroyed under the iron hooves of magical beasts. Without further thought, I roared and jumped down from the tall building, having activated Godzilla's bloodline awakening. In the midst of the battlefield, Luo Xuan kicked the head of a magical beast. Dai Shaoling was also here to fight. Shuju walked over, holding a blue third-tier magic core in his hand. As geniuses of the academy, they could have left, but they still chose to stay. Suddenly, Luo Xuan looked up at the sky. A tank was soaring through the air, uncontrollably headed towards them. Just as the tank was about to crush the three into a meat pie, Shuju instantly drew his sword. The blade slashed through the air, directly splitting the falling tank in two. Seeing the true culprit who had thrown the tank, Kai Shaoling's pupils shrank. It's the Lord-level magical beast that first rushed out of the secret realm. How did it get to the rear lines? The three had no time to think, because the white-furred ape had already raised its truck-sized fist, and was smashing it down. Shuju was stunned in place. There was no time to dodge at such a close distance. However, a black and blue meteor suddenly crashed into the white-furred ape's head, causing its head to flip and its entire body to topple over. In an instant, it stretched out its large hand to swat the figure away, but its huge palm was firmly held by my small palm, unable to move. It stepped on the white ape's jaw, prying its mouth open with immense force. Open your mouth, I'll give you some oral care. As soon as my words fell, a brilliant blue stream of light shot from my mouth, directly into the white ape's fragile oral cavity. Tai Shaoling and Luo Xuan were dumbfounded, looking at the familiar blue light. But Shuju reassured them that it was just me. Shuju, seeing the sight in front of him, thought that maybe Ansheng could now be saved. Shujiao, I'll leave this to you. I'm going to support other places. I then blasted off into the sky. With a better vantage point above the buildings, he used the life magnetic field ability to track down the biggest magical beast cluster. This was one of the defensive points closest to the secret realm rift. The martial artists equipped their swords and charged at the mammoth like magical beasts. However, they were met with its sharp tusks, ultimately perishing. The remaining martial artists and even ordinary soldiers had no intention of retreating. Even if it meant shedding their last drop of blood, they would never hand over this stronghold to the magical beasts. Suddenly, a large number of black-bed demonic shadows appeared on the battlefield. They didn't attack humans, but went to interfere with the beast horde. At the same time, a brilliant blue stream of light struck the mammoth magical beast. The mammoth magical beast let out a painful roar, and dropped to the ground dead. At this moment, all the surrounding magical beasts besieged me. However, I was like an unstoppable missile, as I unleashed the Thunder Fang Cleave technique, causing a great explosion as I crashed into the ground. The high-level magical beasts instantly realized my threat and decided to prioritize eliminating me. Hee hee, Ancient's top scholar has entered the battlefield. The magical beasts are all swarming towards him. We can't let him be overrun. Till the runaway magical beasts. Protect our last hope. At this moment, a single atomic breath blast pierced through the head of a huge magical beast. The ground was littered with mangled corpses melted by nuclear radiation. My atomic breath swept through the battlefield, preventing the oncoming beast tide from reaching me. Meanwhile, the martial artists were standing their ground and protecting me. A lower class beast has locked onto Yehi. Protect the pride of Ancient. Just then, a raging magical beast came rushing towards us. However, it was instantly stopped by gigantic golden walls. Huang King had made a perimeter of walls all around. This won't stop all the primal beasts. We need to take down the Sovereign class to end this beast tide. A white-furred magical beast suddenly leaped with great force, wanting to jump out of the stone walls to attack Huang King. But as soon as it got close, it was blasted into smithereens by the energy he released. But suddenly, Huang King had sensed something at the secret realm rift. At this moment, a huge crocodile had barely squeezed out of the secret realm rift. The mountain-crushing crocodile, a 4th-tier king, BC's lower class. However, if the strongest mount had arrived, it means the blood-eyed black ape was starting to get nervous. Huang King then placed his palms on the ground, and his endlessly powerful martial energy spread throughout the earth. The earth's crust in front rose by over 100 meters. The mountain-crushing Dominator hammer technique collapsed towards the half-exposed head of the mountain-crushing crocodile like a tsunami. Facing the collapsing mountain, the mountain-crushing crocodile's deep green vertical pupils flashed with a hint of contempt. However, under the wool of the mountain-crushing crocodile, the center of the rock and stone tsunami began to continuously shrink and gather, forming a huge stone ball. You think I don't know you have control over earth type attacks? I'm using it for a reason, and you fell for my bait. Burst Martial Serpent Surge. A spiral energy cone drilled into the magical beast. This was the outer peak earthquake strike. The crocodile's wails and roars echoed throughout Anqing, and the glass of the surrounding buildings was all shattered. The pain made the mountain-crushing crocodile completely enraged. The ground in a several hundred-meter radius instantly sprouted sharp stone thorns under its control, turning into a huge stone forest in the blink of an eye. Fortunately, Huang King had known this might happen, and evacuated everyone in time. If your entire body had entered Ancient, it'd hardly damage you, but with only one head exposed, you're a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Huang King used several powerful martial techniques in a short period of time. The air was cut by his high-speed punches and kicks, creating flames. But this just made the mountain-crushing crocodile mad. Several spikes shot out from its body, making Huang King back off. But just as Huang King stopped on the giant crocodile's body to briefly catch his breath, a stone pillar behind him suddenly cracked, and an arm covered in black fur reached out, grabbing Huang King directly. Insignificant human, what are you doing to my mount? It was the blood-eyed black ape, hiding in the stone spikes. Now let me crush your head. Let me show you how powerless humans are in front of me. Just as Huang King's head was about to be crushed by the blood-eyed black ape, he instantly used a flash to dodge. I have confirmed that no one in the city can stop me. I can kill with no restraint now. Huang King's face was expressionless. Although the opponent's strength far surpassed his, he showed no fear at all. The next moment, countless wide and sharp stone knives gathered, forming a storm beast, the Blade Wind Tempest, which roared and swept towards the bloody black ape. Your resistance is meaningless. You're just delaying your death. In its eyes, this was no longer a war, but a game to gradually make the humans feel fear and despair. The storm of stone knives rushed into the bloody black ape, but it didn't even defend itself. The attack could not pierce its skin. Good speed, but the power is too weak. Huang King didn't respond, but raised another sea of stones to attack the opponent. This one is powerful, but way too slow. The bloodied black ape easily maneuvered across the sea of stone, suddenly reappearing in front of Huang King. Kneel. I don't like lowly creatures looking at me at eye level. The bloodied black ape swung its arm, smashing Huang King to the ground. Although Huang King was severely injured by this blow, his weathered face was incomparably calm. You think you're so smart, but you still miscalculated. In the end, you're just an arrogant beast. Blood Forbidden's technique, Earth Vein Seal. The ground turned into a quicksand with a terrifying suction force, trapping half of the bloody black ape. Are you trying to seal me underground, pound knave, human? Do you think you can trap me forever? As soon as this quicksand slackens even a little, I can break out and tear all the humans here to shreds. You're wrong. This isn't a backup plan. It's a hymn to humanity, a hymn to courage. After saying this, he suddenly struck, piercing his own heart. What are you trying to do? At the start of this war, I buried Ancient's only nuclear warhead underground, and it would trigger if my heart stops beating. You're bluffing. Who would bet their life on something like that? Do you think I'd fall for your bullshit? You see, I never planned to walk away from this. My name is Huang King, and I am the mayor of Anqing. I am willing to give everything for Anqing and its citizens, including my life. But I suppose I've finally done enough. The next second, the nuclear bomb buried underground was finally detonated. Endless light and heat instantly engulfed everything, including his and the bloody black ape's bodies. The area of 1,000 meters in radius turned into a dark red lava pool. A towering mushroom cloud, like a tombstone, rose from the ground. An evacuee at the nuclear blast range had tears in their eyes, all looking at the center of the nuclear blast with the utmost respect. In their eyes, this was a grand funeral. Soon after, in the boundless, dark red lava swamp, the bloody black ape skeleton, which had not yet been melted, suddenly moved. An orange magic core floated out from where its heart was originally located. The magic core released a soft glow, and began to repair the broken skeleton. In a few minutes, the skeleton, which was about to be burned to charcoal, had grown a large amount of flesh and blood. The near-death bloody black ape weakly opened its eyes, feeling the depleted life energy in its magic core, and was instantly enraged. I didn't expect to almost be taken out by the hands of humans. I will kill everyone in this city. I will torture all humans in the most cruel way. First, I'll return to the Sin domain, our place of origin as magical beasts, and after I've recovered my energy and blood, I'll trample this place. Just then, I called out to the bloody black ape. Where do you think you're going? The bloody black ape had realized who I was, and knew he was in grave danger. It's a shame I was too late, but I found you at last. I charged in with an atomic blast fist, blasting it with a great blue explosion. However, the magical beast was unshaken, even wanting to take the opportunity to kill me. If he had run from the start, my mini-uke might not have been able to hit you. But since you are so eager to die, you can have this instead. The bloody black ape sensed the energy of the nuclear bomb, cursed under his breath, and urgently wanted to retreat. But I had already awakened my colossal titan bloodline, condensing blue nuclear energy in my center. And the moment the light ball was fully charged, it was immediately detonated, causing a massive blue explosion. Why did another nuclear bomb go off? Could it be a backup plan left by Mayor Huang King? After the nuclear explosion, the bloody black ape was reduced to a withering mess. You're just a monstrous being. My bloodline awakening's powers had fused together. This was the armored titan form. You're more beastly than me. Even sovereign class beasts don't carry an aura like yours. That's the difference. I'm not a bald chimp like you. I had lifted my giant foot while the bloody black ape was stunned, and stomped at it with all my weight. However, the bloody black ape managed to roll out of the range of the stomp. It's useless to run, bald monkey. I swung my arm as big as a great pillar, and used a black flash mountain blocking fists. The arrogant bloody black ape couldn't tolerate the taunt of a martial apprentice and swung its arm. Our fists collided with a crash, and dark martial energy shot out. The next second, the bloody black ape was sent flying in a straight line. It was an sovereign class magical beast after all. Even severely injured, it wasn't something I could easily suppress. Despite my bloodline awakenings, our clash had damaged my arm. But this damage was still effortlessly regenerated. The bloody black ape, seeing how difficult I was to deal with, finally gave up the idea of killing me. The bloody black ape had now sprinted towards the horizon. But behind him, I was already charging another blast. You don't deserve to stain Mayor Huang King's sacrifice. The atomic blast was unleashed towards the running bloody black ape, engulfing its whole being as it cursed me away. After taking a hit from my atomic breath, the bloody black ape burrowed underground and played dead. However, it could not escape my life magnetic field. Now that it was gravely injured, it's easier to track, unlike before. Found you, you damn monkey. I grinned and fired another atomic breath at it. The next moment, the explosive energy directly cut open the surface of the ground, blasting the bloody black ape out of the soil layer. Damn it, just a little bit more. I could already feel the entrance to the Sin domain was not far away, if I hadn't been tricked by that damn human mayor. Suddenly, my huge fist was already smashing towards it. With a loud bang, the black ape was once again slammed into the ground. This is the price for defiling Mayor Huang's name. I will make you wish you were dead. Being repeatedly chased and beaten by young martial artists had already made the black ape feel extremely ashamed and angry. I'll burn the last of my magic core's energy, and drag you to hell. It squeezed the last bit of energy from its magic core, in exchange for its right arm temporarily recovering nearly half of its strength. You despicable worm. Go to hell. I was not afraid at all, and my fist, wrapped in a gust of air, also smashed towards him. The large and small fists collided, and the terrifying force squeezed all the surrounding air, forming a temporary vacuum. However, my arm that had clashed with the bloody black ape's fist exploded. Blood and gore rained down, creating a bloody rain in this nuclear wasteland. On the other hand, even the bloody black ape was too severely injured after that clash. It was finally at the end of its rope. My atomic breath charged to maximum. But before the breath could be released, a sharp pain suddenly shot through my mind. This was a mental attack by a different creature. The ground in the wasteland was now covered with delicate hands. Don't even think about escaping. I tried to grab the bloody black ape, but there were also hands between my joints, restraining my movement. You think you can trap me like this? My bloodline awakening form had begun to erupt in flames. The hands that were restraining me had no chance. Taste the burn of flames at 1,000 degrees. At this moment, the bloody black ape was now almost to the entrance of the secret realm rift. But then he saw the sight before him. The burning colossal titan was closing in with a terrifying flaming aura. The bloody black ape began to panic, ordering the hands to hurry up his escape. But just then, a form of a woman peeked through the secret realm rift. What the hell is that thing? Is it also a magical beast? With power that terrifying, it must be a sovereign class too. If its true form appeared, it'd probably be on my knees immediately. The woman's head seemed to sense my approach. She opened her mouth and let out a loud scream. The scream managed to get through the colossal titan's layers and reach my mind. I couldn't take it anymore, and my human body had pierced through my colossal titan's flesh. You've killed so many people, and you think you can just leave Ancient like that? You've got to be kidding me. I roared, pouring all my atomic energy into the giant's body. Nuclear energy overflowed within the colossal titan's body. I also ejected from the volatile body. This is a local specialty from our hometown, a nuclear bomb. I hope you like it. A dazzling blue-white light engulfed everything. The woman's head stared at me, her eyes filled with endless anger. The blue-white light passed through the secret realm rift, dispersing the lingering smoke from the nuclear explosion, like a small sun rising in the nuclear wasteland. This obvious anomaly was quickly noticed by the martial artists several kilometers away. Look at the secret realm rift. It seems to have exploded. Even the spectating martial artists were dumbfounded. After the bloody black ape died, the number of magical beasts that were constantly pouring into Ancient through the secret realm rift began to decrease. The martial artists of Ancient began to surround and kill the magical beasts roaming the city. This siege lasted for a day and a night, and it wasn't until all the findable magical beasts were killed that the exhausted martial artists stopped. The battle to defend Ancient was finally won, even at the heavy cost of nearly 80% of the martial artists and soldiers being killed or injured. Meanwhile, inside the Swan Lake secret realm, at the site of the final nuclear blast, I had woken up from a coma, finally opening my eyes. Although I had poured all the nuclear energy in my body into the colossal titan to trigger a nuclear explosion, this place itself was full of fresh nuclear radiation and residual atomic fission energy. It was like recharging on the spot after running out of battery. This battle was too difficult. It was thanks to Mayor Huang King that I could do what I did. Although my infinite monster template is strong, it is still far from being a match for a sovereign class magical beast. This victory was due to the right time, the right place, and luck. I need more time to grow. But this nationwide secret realm riot has also given me a sense of urgency. I don't know when I'll be able to draw the next template. But fusing with the Godzilla Earth template is the fastest way for me to become a top-tier powerhouse. Perhaps being transported into this world was part of my destiny. A month passed in a flash after the beast died. I learned about the damage to other cities from the news. In Guangshan City, an rank secret realm appeared that was shrouded in an impenetrable gray fog. The National Martial Artists Organization, the Great Xia Dragon Sparrow, dispatched 30 Xuanmu martial artists and 5 Grandmaster experts, led by the senior Grandmaster Du Jingming, to investigate. The unusual event prompted the strongest nation guardian martial artist, Fuanshan, to act. But the aftermath of his expedition, he was severely wounded and only 2 Grandmasters survived with him. As such, Guangshan City was labeled as a danger zone with millions of casualties. Even a nation guardian martial artist was severely injured. Has the human survival situation become so urgent? I can't wait any longer. After turning off the news, I directly called Kinlan, saying I wanted to ask her for a favor. Kinlan thought I wanted to learn the remaining 2 profound, elo martial techniques of the Liu family. No, I want to ask you to help me purchase some high-quality plant attribute magic cores, preferably blue magic cores, or even purple lord class magic cores. Plant-type magical beasts are already rare, and lower-level magic cores are even more precious. You have grand ambitions. Since you want so much, what can you offer in return? Imperial University has a freshman secret realm assessment every year at the beginning of the school year. I can team up with Liu Qingshu and help her get first place. You're underestimating the genius top scholars from other provinces and cities, aren't you? I can tell you that Qingshu's strength wouldn't even be in the upper echelons. Although you suppressed her in the arena match with Qingshu, you are still a bit behind the top-tier prodigies. But Adkin, you can only bet the revival of the Liu family on me, right? I can write of it. If I fail to get first place among the freshmen, I will come to the Liu family to be your workhorse and take care of you in your old age. A workhorse. You'll serve and do menial tasks. Fine, I'll help you one more time for now. After finishing the call with Qin Lan, I went to the hospital to visit Shuju. Many people on the road recognized me, and some avid fans even came up to ask for my autograph. As soon as I entered the hospital room, I couldn't help but laugh out loud at Shuju's state. Beside Shuju was Luo Xuan, whose leg got amputated during the battle, but will get surgery to recover. While visiting, we received a phone call. It was from the head of admissions at Imperial University, informing Shuju and me that the university would be starting a month early, and a special train would come to pick us up in 3 days. With school starting soon, I still had important things to do. I then said goodbye to Shuju, and rushed to the old site of Swanlei. Because the massive mushroom cloud from the nuclear explosion had thrown hundreds of tons of dust into the clouds. My main purpose in coming here was to absorb the residual nuclear radiation and increase my strength. But this could also be considered helping Ancient solve a nuclear contamination source. While in the Godzilla state, I began to try to use my martial energy to guide the radiation energy in the air into my body. In just 3 days, my compatibility with the Godzilla template reached 38. Unfortunately, it was time for me to go. With atomic energy, I am blasted off into the sky. Soon after, at the Ancient high-speed rail station, the special train from Imperial University was about to arrive. Was waiting by the tracks. Soon enough, I descended into the train station. How lucky. I made it in time. You've gotten stronger again. I took one last look at the city being rebuilt, and then strode towards the train platform. Goodbye, Ancient. Imperial City, here we come. A moment later, the golden and red train of Imperial University pulled into the station. Shujo and I entered the train together. The train was already filled with many people, mostly top scholars from various cities. The entire train was made of the most advanced structures and materials, easily capable of withstanding the impact of several thousand tons of force. On top of that, there were high-level martial artists as escorts inside the train. But I had actually already known this with my life magnetic field. But just then, a level 1 alert sounded out inside the train. The Imperial City train was under attack by an unknown enemy. The Imperial City train was under attack by an unknown enemy. The professor and other teachers are investigating the situation. All other students, please evacuate the carriages as soon as possible. Do not engage the enemy. The entire carriage was silent for a moment, then became extremely chaotic. The freshmen were discussing the current situation. Meanwhile, Shuju turned to me and asked what I thought. Let's get out of the train first. Or go to other carriages to see the situation. We walked forward along the carriages. When we reached the 5th carriage, we met a freshman who was covered in blood and looked terrified. The enemy has already taken over the first 3 carriages. The opponent has a special domain that can pull people into an independent space. There are also terrifying enemies inside chasing everyone. The martial artists and teachers worked together to send me out of that domain, and told me to tell you to run quickly. This is not a drill. Hearing this, many of the freshmen who wanted to investigate the situation were stunned. But a freshman, Yan Jiagshun, complained, "Where's the proof? If you say there's danger ahead, you should show some proof. I have a friend I know well in the front carriages, and his strength is enough to compete for the top freshman spot. I don't believe you could get out." But he couldn't. After Yan Jiagshun finished speaking, he strode towards the front carriages. Many freshmen who supported the trial theory followed behind him, preparing to go and see what was happening. He right. A girl named Liu Qingshu showed me your photo. She told me to tell you not to go to the front carriages. Is that what she told you? That's right. To cover for me, she was severely injured by a single slash. I can't persuade those people who are seeking death, but I must fulfill that girl's last wish and make sure you survive. Damn it, she's not even dead yet. And you're already talking about her last wish. With that, but I directly ran towards the front carriages with Chuju. This should be the so-called separate space entrance the freshman mentioned, right? I casually picked up a heavy object and threw it in. But no sound came out. As if the thrown object had been silently swallowed. Even the live magnetic field couldn't penetrate this hazy color to sense anything. But many freshmen had just walked this way. So it seemed they had all gone in. Interesting. Let's go in, Shuzhou. And I then stepped into the chaotic thin film. Underneath me was a thin curving pathway. Wait, we came inside together. But now Shuzhou is gone. However, I just continued towards the light at the end of the path. What the hell is this freaky place? And it seems like my life magnetic field still was being blocked. And so I flew high in the sky, landing on top of a skyscraper. Don't play tricks on me. I gathered my martial energy into a ball, and filled it with unstable atomic energy. It'll blow this damn place up. The next moment, the energy ball was thrown into the clouds. The massive light and heat dispersed the surrounding gray clouds, and the explosion in the air instantly broke the city's silence. The Imperial University freshmen hiding in various corners were all dumbfounded when they saw it in the distance. Shuju raised his sword and quickly rushed toward the location of the explosion. In a certain building, the pale-faced Liu Qingju watched the blue glowing explosion in the sky, and also knew that I had entered the scene. At this moment, watching the restless city, I understood that my position was exposed to everyone. What I attracted was not only teammates, but also enemies who had already arrived. The person was wearing a pig head mask and holding a blood-stained sharp knife. Damn bastard. Playing mysterious. I'll rip your mask off. My fist connected right at the pig's mask, blasting it with my atomic punch. The mask menacingly burns with blue nuclear energy. Just then, the sharp knife in the pig-headed man's hand stabbed out at an even faster speed, directly ignoring Godzilla's skin defense and piercing my abdomen. He exerted force with his arm, wanting to cut my body open, but he couldn't succeed. The sharp knife was actually stuck by my rapidly self-healing muscle layer. Your strength isn't great, but your weapon is very special, seemingly able to ignore defense. What the hell are you? Open your mouth obediently and let me check you out properly. With that, I directly released atomic breath down his throat, ripping his head off as his body burned away. There's something inside the headpiece. It was a pendant with a marking, so I thought that this might be a trial by the Imperial City, where we get loot for beating monsters. Just then, the weapon stabbed into me had started to disappear, since the wielder infused it with his martial energy. Suddenly, an arrow suddenly shot towards the back of my head. However, a ferocious and evil shadow instantly shot out from my body, blocking the attack. I then looked in the direction the arrow came from, and saw a chicken-headed figure. However, a spear tip emerged from the ground. The new enemy even continued its attack, with multiple arrows. Unable to stop, I had ran right into the spears that split, stopping my tracks. Just then I began to form my Colossal Titan. The Colossal Titan's form continued to assemble, hurling a fist right at the enemy, crashing all the way down to the first floor. I want to see who this guy is, the one who nearly skewered me. I then noticed the rabbit head, which makes me feel uneasy as well, having noted their connection to the zodiac signs. Just then, the muscles on the rabbit's leg grew tenfold, gathering his force like a bullet. The rabbit had hurled itself towards me, but all it met was a kick as it flipped away. What the hell? It knows martial arts. As the spear of the rabbit got close, an ice wall suddenly formed right in front of me, blocking the attack. And then a thick ice wall created a perimeter around the rabbit, trapping him there. That was close. Leave this rabbit to me, Shuju's ice sword instantly stabbing towards the rabbit-headed man. However, the rabbit-headed man's reaction was also extremely fast. In an instant, their weapons clashed dozens of times. However, Shuju managed to trap the spear in ice, and with a palm strike, had blasted the rabbit-headed man away, crashing into my Colossal Titan and my huge bone palm grabbing towards him, crushing him to death and causing a great explosion. Meanwhile, elsewhere, why is there no movement? He must be dead. Those masked men weren't even injured when we surrounded them. Their weapons can break through any defense. We can't handle them with our level. The guy who came in and shot cannons into the sky was too arrogant. He must be a student from a small place who got into Imperial University. Scholars from big cities are on another level entirely. I've heard Yan Jiaishun and Oyeonhee of Modu, Lan Yuzi of Shendu, and Sin Chen of Lili Island have already begun hunting masked men. I can't imagine how they managed it. and the past freshman presidents have all been locals of Imperial City. In front of those Imperial prodigies, their conversation was interrupted by a loud noise. They looked up at the sky, and were dumbfounded. What was that ridiculously powerful beam of light just now? A railgun. Don't be ridiculous. How could there be a railgun here? Others in the city also stopped in their tracks, silently watching the exaggerated beam of light in the sky. What do you think? This attack style doesn't seem like the masked men's. It's most likely the work of a freshman. A freshman? Besides those few from the imperial capital. How could anyone else possess such exaggerated power? We have to go. After all, I've already collected the pendants for the rat, dog, monkey, and horse. Lan Yuzi from Shinju has at least one goat pendant. And Xin Chen from Liuli Island has at least one snake pendant. A girl named Liu Qingxiu also seems to have taken down the ox-headed man and got the ox pendant. If the masked men are really arranged according to the 12 zodiac signs, then only the pig, rabbit, chicken, tiger, and dragon pendants are left. As for the dragon, you know that monster? It's a touch and a situation, and a boss we can only run from, not fight. In the remaining pendants, the freshman who released that blue beam of light definitely has a few. Xin Chen and Lan Yuzi will probably be attracted there too. Dankshun, this game has entered the final round. If we want to win, we can only snatch them from others. At this moment I was now in possession of the rabbit pendant. Before you came, I had already taken down a guy, wearing a pig-head mask, and got a pendant from his mask. If I'm not mistaken, this trial should be about collecting all the pendants from the animal heads. So we should go and actively look for the masked men. That's right. Just now on the rooftop, another guy shot a hidden arrow at me. He should also be a masked man, although he escaped in the chaos. His arrow hit me, so I can track him through it. The two of us then quickly gave chase, arriving soon after. Something's not right. There are traces of a battle here. Someone beat us to it. This scorch mark is still warm. The other party hasn't gone far. They should be nearby. Hearing my words, Chuju's ice elemental dragon bloodline had instinctually reacted to something. Relying on his senses, he instinctively slashed his sword in a certain direction. A 10-meter high ice spike rose from the ground, crashing straight into a certain spot in the air. My optical camouflage was actually discovered. You're up to no good. If you're hiding in the shadows, get out of the way. Gene technique, flame demon battle body. His palm quickly turned as red and bright as a branding iron, and he met the incoming ice cone head with his palm. Lan Yuzi, your optical camouflage is too weak if you've been found. I questioned whether the two of them were ambushing Des. Little brother, you've misunderstood. We dealt with a guy in a chicken mask, and we're hiding just to bait out more. Xin Chen casually lit a cigarette with a snap of his fingers. Then what does this mean? I said, and then suddenly reached out and grabbed the air nearby, revealing an invisible clone. Even my clone was discovered. It seems these guys have some skill. Then, I guess it's my turn. Suddenly, his cheeks suddenly puffed up. Then he spewed a large cloud of black smoke towards me and Chujo. Seeing this, I instantly retreated with Chujo. Just then, Lan Yuzi took out a yellow fan with glowing runes, and fanned the black smoke Xin Chen had spewed. And in a blink, it had engulfed his. It's not over yet. Let me add some fire for you. The black smoke instantly ignited, turning into a fiery cloud, and the scorching temperature twisted the air into a knot. So what if you have skills? He still can't beat us. However, I replied to them. Still, what the hell are you laughing about? With a strong and loud clap, the smoke and fire quickly dissipated from the air pressure. Just clapping was enough to dispel my fire cloud. Suddenly I instantly smashed my fist into his face. He was sent flying in a straight line, rolled a few times and crashed a distance away. Lan Yuzi began to panic, worrying about how there's no way to deal with me, but lost in thought. She didn't realize she was already trapped in ice. She knew that even with a team-up, they couldn't defeat any one of us. Lan Yuzi cried out. In alarm, she waved her fan with all her might. The ice under her feet was cut by the wind blades, and her body was then lifted by the wind, wanting to retreat. However, I was quick to grab her ankle. Get down here, I roared, and slammed Lan Yuzi to the ground. Seeing that I was about to throw another punch, Lan Yuzi created multiple clones and tried to escape. However, he unleashed the vengeful spirits inside my body, and it had quickly subdued all of her clones. You can't win, and you can't run. Just accept it. Lan Yuzi, in despair, directly chose to surrender, and took out the gold and chicken pendant she had obtained. I learned that to win this trial, one had to collect all 12 pendants. Now, in the late stage of the trial, even if you didn't actively rob others would actively come to rob you. Aoyongzi and Yan Jaiksham from Modu were the top freshmen in this batch. They had probably already snatched a lot of pendants. How about it? Do you need me to take you to find Aoyongzi? Lan Yuzi understood that she had no hope of winning, so she might as well stir up trouble and let us kill each other. You don't need to worry about that. I think your fan is not bad. Meanwhile, Yan Jihangshan and Aoyongzi were rushing towards this direction. Although they knew that Xin Chen and Lan Yuzi had probably already gone over, it didn't matter to them. They were extremely confident that no matter who won, they could just snatch the pendants from the others' hands. Before they reached their destination, the two suddenly stopped. In front of them was a corpse that had been cut in half at the waist. Xin Chen's face still showing extreme fear. Just a few minutes ago, Xin Chen, who had been sent flying by a single punch, had landed in a trash pile far away. He understood that he couldn't beat me, so he wanted to team up with Aoyongzi and the other. But before he could act, a figure holding a tang knife suddenly appeared behind him. The figure was wearing a majestic and ferocious dragon mask, and his eyes were actually double-pupiled. Xin Chen understood that this was the dragon-masked man. In the blink of an eye, he was cut in half at the waist. Now, the dragon-masked man was in possession of the snake and tiger pendant. Upon inspection, the two also recognized that this was done by the dragon-masked man. Isn't the dragon mask only able to operate in that underground parking garage? At that time, I even brought more than 20 followers to the underground parking garage to find you. And we met that dragon. Only the two of us escaped alive. I can't believe that guy would actually kill people. Wasn't it supposed to be a trial? But that hot blood didn't seem fake. What now? It seems the pendant on Qin Chen was also taken. Dragon Mask likely left the underground garage. Because we freshmen triggered a condition. Perhaps killing all the masked men. Freeing him to move. Just as the Zodiac masked men hunt freshmen. He may now actively target us pendant holders. He's impossible to fight against. We must get the pendants from the others before Dragon Mask does. We can't let the pendants fall into Dragon Mask's hands. After Aoyongzi finished speaking, he activated his bloodline, awakening the golden, winged dragon roar. He decided to actively release a signal to attract the other pendant holders for a decisive battle. His golden wings flapped lightly, and he flew high into the sky, letting out a provocative cry. Liu Qingshu, drawn into the dead city with the Imperial University train's first carriage, fought alongside two freshmen to kill an ox-headed man. She then stumbled into an underground garage, where the dragon mask struck her down. Before she barely escaped, gravely wounded. Learning I was also inside, she planned to recover before seeking me out. But then a fierce cry of a kindred bloodline made her heart seize. Liu Qingshu wondered if she had been discovered. Despite not being able to fight, she strengthened her resolve, trying to lure them to her, since she thought I might need the pendants. Aoyongzi had sensed Liu Qingshu from the entrance exam. He realized their bloodlines shared a heritage. He also noticed that the ox pendant was with her, and that she was moving towards the Dragon Mask's parking lot. But he knew the Dragon Mask wasn't there anymore, and decisively headed her direction. Aoyongzi crashed through several floors in pursuit of his target, Liu Qingshu. You can't hide. Come out. Just as he finished speaking, a sense of fatal crisis suddenly filled Aoyongzi's heart. In the darkness ahead, a pair of eerie, blood red double pupils were staring intently at him. And then he realized a devastating truth. The Dragon Mask was hunting pendants. So naturally, he would prioritize the one that has the most. Aoyongzi wanted to escape from here as soon as possible. But he was forcibly pulled into the other's domain space. He could only leave if a certain condition was met. Or if he defeated the caster, Dragon Mask. The next moment, Dragon Mask's figure instantly disappeared and reappeared in front of Aoyongzi. Launching an attack, Aoyongzi could only focus on defending himself. Dragon Mask's attacks became increasingly sharp and fierce, continuing its assault. Meanwhile, on the outside, I punched Yan Jiangshun with a disdainful look on my face. So it's you, making a server-wide taunt. Leave this person to me. I want to test my strength. You think you've got me? Don't be so arrogant. Chushu's expression remained calm as he drew his sword, and a pillar of ice had appeared where the sword had struck. Where are you running to? He skillfully retracted his force in mid-air. He once again chopped at Chuju from another angle. Chuju instantly shut off his five senses. and entered a profound state of unity between man and sword. The broken cold sword in his hand unleashed a pure sword gleam, which violently collided with the broadsword imbued with a tiger's roar. The sword energy and blade energy fought each other, and the sounds of a dragon's roar and a tiger's roar echoed through half the street. At this moment, Yan Jiangsheng suddenly sensed Yan Mize's aura calling for help. He had no desire to continue fighting the Chuju in front of him. If I wasn't in a hurry this time, I would have broken at least 8 of your bones. You're going to talk trash and then just leave. Did I say you could go? I struck him with a powerful atomic blast, sending him away. You ambushed me. But I replied, this isn't a sneak attack. It's just that your brain is too slow to react to my fists. Arrogant bastard, I'll take your life. And blew by me, and was lying on the ground again. This weapon has a good weight to it. I'd like to borrow it. You don't mind, do you? But it still needs a little strengthening. I fused my martial energy with it, and black scale spikes formed at the base. Although there was no zodiac jade pendant, there was a pendant that seemed to be sending a signal. Ouyongzi barely lasted a few minutes against Dragon Mass. His golden wings, and one arm being severed from the fight. He had exhausted all his life-saving measures, even using the energy, Walking Nail, an artifact from a secret realm. Ruin, it could seal an opponent's martial energy if it struck the heart. But unfortunately, he had missed by inches. Ouyongzi had now accepted his own fate. A few breaths later, the lights in the underground parking garage turned on again. At this moment, the winged Ouyongzi had been pierced through the heart and nailed to the wall. On the other side, Liu Qingshu quickly left the underground parking garage and ran towards the rooftop. She understood that Ouyongzi couldn't last long, and she didn't have the strength to run far either. To survive, she could only find a way to get me to come and take her away. She was going to send out a signal to me, using her bloodline awakening, Nether Sparrow. She gathered her remaining energy to let out a cry. However, just then the sound of a blade dragging on the ground suddenly sounded. She stood on the edge of the rooftop in disbelief and looked down. She saw Dragon Mask approaching her vertically on the surface of the building. She could not believe she was found so quickly and wanted to send another signal. But it was too late. The domain had already been activated. Dragon Mask entered the blackened domain, raising its weapon up with a menacing grin. Liu Qingshu knew she could not dodge this attack. But suddenly, the domain around them started to crack. Suddenly I broke into the domain with an incomparably barbaric posture. I promised your parents, and I keep my word. The Dragon Mask immediately noticed my presence. As for you, what are you? A rolling baleful aura, and martial energy, rich in atomic energy, were poured into the broadsword, slashing towards the opponent. The force was strong enough to split the building in half. Shuzhou and my new little brother are in the alley to the east. You go there first. I'll deal with this guy wearing the dragon mask. After instructing Liu Qingshu, I turned into a blue meteor and flew directly towards Dragon Mask's position below. After landing on the ground, I found that Dragon Mask was now bare-chested, his clothes completely destroyed by the crescent moon black flash. Just now, I keenly noticed that there was a bronze nail stuck in his chest. That nail. Could it be the plan Yan Jiangsheng mentioned that could solve Dragon Mask? Just then, the Dragon Mask moved so fast that it left. After images, I instinctively sensed danger, and quickly swung the black scale reinforced broadsword to block. Dazzling sparks flickered continuously, and the swords were glowing with martial energy. The Dragon Mask overpowered me and threw me to the ground. But in the dust, a blue glow emerged, and an atomic breath pierced through multiple floors, directly hitting the Dragon Mask. It seems like I finally encountered a worthy opponent. However, the Dragon Mask still managed to get back up, still ready to fight. That's more like it. The invincible boss Dragon Mask wouldn't be defeated so easily. Just then, Dragon Mask's figure flickered and attacked again. The entire street instantly cracked, and I was pushed back continuously by his relentless slashes. After his mask was broken, not only his speed, but also his strength has increased. The broadsword in my hand couldn't withstand such high-intensity slashes and broke in half. At that moment, Dragon Mask accelerated in an instant, appearing behind me. However, I had bitten down on the blade to prevent the attack. I finally got you. I then delivered an uppercut with atomic energy directly to Dragon Mask's chin. The mask on his face was completely shattered, not giving him any chance to breathe. I grabbed Dragon Mask's sword, wielding arm with one hand. I reeled back my fist, ready to strike, and a barrage of attacks hit directly at the vital points of the Dragon Mask. This attack in addition to the energy-suppressing mail, would surely cause deep internal destruction. But even so, he still maintained a strong killing intent and hostility towards me, his long sword slashing at my chest from a tricky angle. Seeing this, I quickly took out the yellow fan and directly blocked his attack. Your best chance to kill me was at the beginning. But now you only have a 30 chance of defeating me. With the rapid fanning of the fan, a crimson whirlwind instantly rose from the ground, engulfing the dragon mass. The dark red wind blades continuously cut at Dragon Mask's body. The suction force of the strong wind threw him dozens of meters into the air. I leaped into the air, transforming into a dazzling blue meteor, and arriving in front of Dragon Mask. First punch, an atomic blast fist. With a loud boom, the violent atomic explosion erupted. Dragon Mask was now falling in a daze. I once again caught up to the falling Dragon Mask. Second punch, mountain blocking fist black flash. The Dragon Mask bounced between the buildings, finally crashing into a wall. I thought you would be more powerful than this, Dragon Mask. The Dragon Mask still tried to move to attack, but in an instant, I had already decapitated him. His lifeless body remained pinned to the wall. As his head fell to the ground, I finally have the dragon pendant. It's time to end this game. At this moment, all the freshmen had witnessed my powerful strength. Ian Changsheng didn't even dare to look at me directly. He shouldn't have gone to fight that Dragon Mask alone. Besides, if we had gone up, we would have only been a hindrance. With our strength, we wouldn't even have been qualified to assist. We would have just been killed by Dragon Mask. Liu Qingshu fell silent. Because Chuju was right. She herself was so injured that she couldn't even perform a martial technique. For the first time, she had a heartfelt desire to become stronger. At least not to drag a certain someone down. What are you thinking about? The ox pendant. Can I borrow it for a bit? I arranged all the pendants in the order of the 12 zodiacs, from rat to pig. But nothing happened. This most special dragon mask was not designed as a huntable masked man at all, but a hunter specifically to kill pendant holder. In that case, to clear the game. Normally, we probably don't need to add the dragon pendant, right? I heard this, and took out the dragon pendant, rearranging them in the order of rat to pig again. The next moment, the entire city space began to tremble violently. The gray fog in the sky began to swirl into a vortex, thunder striking the tops of the buildings, and a huge, white gold pupil appeared in the center of the vortex. After seeing the white gold pupil in the center of the vortex, I felt as if the world had turned upside down, and my body was actually falling from the ground towards the pupil in the sky. When I opened my eyes again, I found that I was still sitting in my seat on the Imperial University train. Everything that had just happened seemed like a dream. Just then, a broadcast announcement suddenly sounded. All students, please do not be alarmed. You are all just drawn into a dream illusion created by the artifact ManhwaRecap. This is this year's Imperial University freshman trial. Please relax. A special announcement. In this freshman trial, the team of Yi from Ancient collected all the zodiac pendants, and took first place. Among them, student Yi's performance was outstanding. A special reward will be sent after enrollment. After the train broadcast ended, the carriage was silent for a moment, and then an even more clamorous debate erupted. As the center of the candidates' discussion, I sat silently in my seat, completely ignoring the discussions around me, because my monster template finally had a new prompt. Congratulations to the host for suppressing all freshmen in the Imperial ManhwaRecap trial. You are rewarded with one template draw. Immediately after, I had used it, and drawn a new monster template. This new draw was the Day class magical beast, Vampire Dio Brando, with the bloodline abilities, blood manipulation, and immortal body. And after evolving, this bloodline could even stop time. Just as I was overjoyed, he suddenly walked over to talk to me. You beat a mess. It wasn't beating him. It was killing him. Beating and killing are two different levels of difficulty. Ouyamzi, who had personally fought against Dragon Mask twice, naturally understood the significance of this. I plan to establish a new club at Imperial University, different from the student union, and I hope you will join. I will support you as the president. For years, the positions of top freshman and student union president have been firmly held by students from the Imperial capital. Your strength has shown me an opportunity to break this Imperial University tradition. Yes. The students were surprised that the arrogant Ouyamzi would actually do this. Sorry, I'm not interested in competing with the student union or establishing organizations. I prefer to be a lone wolf. He smiled and handed me a business card. We will always look forward to cooperating with you. Soon after, the train finally arrived safely at its destination, Imperial City. A big city was indeed different. Soaring skyscrapers pierced the clouds, and the flowing light strips on the buildings formed unique light trails, decorating the city's night sky like a sci-fi dream. After the train stopped at the Imperial Capital High-speed rail station, we were taken to a helipad where a levitating passenger plane was parked. All students, please board the plane in an orderly manner. Hearing the prompt, I directly poked Liu Qingshu in the lower back. What are you doing? We're still outside. Liu Qingshu's face turned red, because her mother reminded her that they were only Fian in name, so they shouldn't be too close in public. I asked in confusion. I wanted to ask you, why are we taking a plane? Because Imperial University is in the sky. The plane that we boarded emerged from the clouds, revealing the Imperial University in the sky. I had realized that there was an electromagnetic field surrounding the university. It even decreased my life magnetic field's effectiveness. Upon disembarking the place, the students received their own student identification cards. Next, the freshmen all took the maglev train on campus to the student dormitories. The student dormitory was a skyscraper with over 100 floors. My room was on the 42nd floor, and Chuju's was on the 40th. I was amazed upon entering the room. Not only was it nearly 100 square meters, but it also came with the latest model of computer, and a massage bathtub in the restroom. There was no time to experience these configurations now, because I had more important things to do. Max out the Vampire Dio's template first. By scanning the student aid, I was able to open the Imperial Pass application. This application served as the Academy's marketplace, which had its own currency. Unfortunately, the conversion rate was abysmal. However, the actual items in the market were all top tier, so I prioritized buying Blood Attribute Magic Course, which was enough to reach 100 compatibility with the Vampire Dio monster template. In just a few moments, a drone arrived at the window with the package. I opened the package and swallowed the magic cores in one go. A powerful energy entered my stomach and was quickly converted into nutrients, appearing on the panel's compatibility. The template Dio Brando was now at 100 compatibility, and the bloodline ability, the world time stop, has been unlocked. As the prompt sounded, my body also began to change. My skin became paler. My two canine teeth became sharper, and blood grooves even appeared on the back of my canine teeth. I opened my hand, and saw that the nails on my 5 fingers were growing at a visible rate. After observing for a moment, I suddenly had a bold idea. Then, without any hesitation, I suddenly stabbed my hand into my own throat. But not only did I not die, the wound healed completely in a few seconds. The self-healing speed was even faster than Godzilla's self-healing speed before. The vampire's abilities were not bad. I nodded in satisfaction and then began to test my new ability. Entering the training room, I began to unleash my skill, the ability to manifest an exterior physical fighting spirit, known as a stand. This was the sand, the world, and I had to find out how strong it could be. Come on, punch me. The world swung its gauntleted fist, breaking the sound barrier, and struck me fiercely. The bones in my arms completely shattered as I crashed into the wall of the room. Next, I tested the next ability, time stop the world, with a buzz. A gray spherical domain began to expand from me as the center. The domain stayed strong for a few seconds, but it began to crack by the 5th second. But I still tried to push through. By 2 seconds, my blood was already bursting out of me. Finally it reached 7 seconds. Before the time stop, domain completely shattered, and I understood that the 5-second limit was for the original host's limit, but still had potential to grow. Time quickly passed to the next day. Chujiu and I entered the Imperial University campus together, after fusing with the vampire bloodline. Although the sunlight didn't harm me at all, I still inexplicably began to dislike the sun. Chujiu told me that this year, Imperial University had changed its past class-based learning model to a small group mentor system. It was basically following a main mentor for each academic year, during which one could also seek guidance from assistant mentors. Other freshmen needed to find a mentor after the start of the school year, but I didn't have to. As the one who had collected all the zodiac pendants, I had the right to directly choose any mentor, and the mentor couldn't refuse. All the way to the stadium, I found a long queue outside. Generally, 3 people would enter the stadium for an assessment as a group, and then the mentors would light up their lights to choose them. Choose Xiao, you go in first. I'm going to wander around somewhere else. Since I can choose any mentor, it doesn't matter when I go in. After saying goodbye to Chu Zhao, I left the stadium. But I suddenly caught a faint smell of blood. This smell of blood contained a hidden yet ferocious killing intent, and sin, which actually stirred the murderous aura in my body. I followed the scent, and finally seeing the source of the aura in a small alley. Surprisingly, the trail led to a little girl that was eating a sweet potato. I never expected that this cute little girl would have such a terrifying aura. Hey kid, you've practiced the devil in the flesh. How did you know? Because I was the one who helped Liu Chengu perfect this martial technique. I heard this and immediately thought of the ferocious man in the martial rhyme space. Liu Chengu, he was my disciple over 90 years ago. Are you kidding me? Sure. Martial artists can live beyond normal limits, and grandmasters stay in their prime, even in their 80s or 90s. But you're just a kid who hasn't even grown up. A martial artist with special techniques could alter their bones to appear childlike. But the pure, almost naive innocence of this white-haired girl couldn't be faked. Not even by an Oscar-level actor. You don't believe me? I began to mock the little girl. Before I could finish my sentence, I sensed incredible danger, like my head was in a guillotine. The purity of this killing intent was so high that it made me hallucinate the scene of my own head falling off. I was speechless when I came back to my senses. Just as I was about to use my time-stopping ability, subconsciously, a candy was suddenly stuffed into my mouth. Sorry, kid, I think I went a little too far. Please don't report me to the school. Okay. I can only come out for an hour or 2 a week. I'm very pitiful. Just who are you? My name is Gonki, and I'm a very powerful grandmaster. Let me tell you a secret. The principal of Imperial University, that guy Shi Jingwen. I even made him cry when he was a kid. He'd have drifted for half my life without finding a wise master. I wish to take teacher Gonki as my master. I hope you will grant my wish. Gonki, seeing this, blinked her eyes in confusion. Meanwhile, in the stadium, 5 deans of Imperial University sat at the front table. It turns out that this year's mentors were the deans of the major schools. All of the students knew they were all going to be disappointed, because the 5 deans were all here for the sole purpose of competing for Yai. The freshmen didn't know the Zodiac competition was broadcast live to Imperial University's teachers, who scored them on combat, practical ability, and leadership, even without defeating a match. Man, excelling in these areas earned high marks. And I was the only freshman to receive top evaluations from start to finish. But this alone was not enough to alarm the 5 deans. What truly shocked them was that I had killed the boss, Dragon Mask, who was not part of the trial's attack targets, and was a guaranteed death upon encounter. That was a model trained by the Xia Kingdom supercomputer, Manhwa based on the data left by the nation, protecting level martial artist Fu Hongxuan when he enrolled at Imperial University. Although it couldn't replicate the ability of those gods' double pupils in the illusion, Fu Hongxuan was the strongest martial artist in the history of the Xia Kingdom and even the world. The record he left at Imperial University had never been surpassed in 100 years. The fact that I could kill such a divinely trained model, even if it didn't replicate the full strength of the original, was enough to prove my astonishing talent. As long as I didn't run into any trouble on my path of growth, I could at least become a grandmaster of a generation, and even challenge the senior grandmaster realm. But just then, an urgent announcement came in. That news, teens. Yeah, he has taken the former Imperial University professor, now special personnel, Gomki as his master. Hearing this news, the 5 deans were instantly stunned. At this moment, outside the stadium, I was shamelessly kneeling and hugging Gomki. Master, I've set my heart on you, that it seems I've already been expelled from Imperial University. Teacher, you said you can only come out for an hour or 2 a week. If you take me as a disciple, we'll find a way to get your freedom back. With that, she immediately agreed. But suddenly, the 5 deans appeared before us. Didn't you promise not to interact with students? Senior Gonki, you aren't even allowed to teach with your current mental state. Unfortunately for you, he is coming home with me. Later, in the Imperial Research Institute, my master and I were walking through the halls. Teacher, you live way out here. That's right. There are incidents where I hurt people. So this is where they settled me. Lately, I've got more in control, so that's why they can let me out. This hallway is this narrow, because I'm supposed to be the only one that goes through here. Seeing the timer on the door, Gomki began to sprint towards the entrance. If I don't get inside before the timer runs out, He'll officially become hunted by the university. Hearing this, my master and I managed to make it inside. With less than a second on the clock. Behind us, the vault door slammed shut. There was even an electromagnetic field for added protection. This also meant martial art techniques would be significantly weaker here. Welcome to my confinement cell. A 3-story house filled with anything I could need. Meanwhile, at the Imperial President's office, President Xi Jinping just received the news of Gong Qi being my master. He responded by telling the messenger to leave me be with my decision, since their purpose was to cultivate geniuses, allowing me to train under Gong Qi. Currently, it was also confirmed that I was locked inside the confinement cell with Gong Qi. Upon checking the stats, there was at least a 5 chance of Gong Qi going berserk with an 89 chance of me dying before getting rescued. The president understood that I have already been ready to face death to train under Gong Qi. At least, Gong Qi could finally pass down her knowledge and techniques. Meanwhile, back in the confinement cell, inside the training hall, currently, we were about to spar to figure out where my current level was at. I'm ready now, Teacher Gong Qi. I had readied myself to face the same killing intent from earlier. But suddenly, Gong Qi was now charging at me at great speeds. She was aiming straight for my vitals. This was no longer just a friendly spar. In this split second, I knew that any way I dodge, she would predict it and still hit me. So I could only face this hit with my Godzilla bloodline awakening. I blocked the vital point strike and prepared to counter-attack. Meanwhile, Gong Qi was amazed that I could use my bloodline awakening to achieve multiple things at once. Speed, defense, and countering. But too bad. I'm still way faster than you, kid. With a strong kick, my spine and neck crumbled. And all I could do was let out a painful scream. You're really not holding back, teacher. You just knocked away my bloodline awakening. It's been a long time since I tasted blood. I can't match your physical technique at all, teacher. So I have to resort to my martial techniques. Just then, the aura of the Colossal Titan emerged. It turns out that I had already maxed out the compatibility for the Colossal Titan template last night. As your teacher, I have to match your intensity. A wave of martial energy came towards me, slicing the Colossal Titan in half, causing a big explosion. Just then, I emerged from the smoke in a new form. Founding Titan split form, Armored Beast Titan. Even Gong Qi recognized the danger in front of her. I charged right at her with my armored fist, but Gong Qi retaliated with her own martial technique. As it connected, the Colossal Titan's arm was completely destroyed. Eehee, you brat, are you hiding inside this thing's mouth? Come out already, before I make you. I activated the split form once again, with the Warhammer Titan. I managed to block her attack with bone spikes, forcing Gong Qi to retreat. Teacher, since your strikes are so powerful, I wondered if you can cut through this one, I said while charging up the atomic breath. I know this won't melt you, but let's see how you'll defend against it. Just then, it felt like spiky iron chains had wrapped around me. The guillotine appeared once again, and the blade was already coming towards me. Time stop, the world. Fortunately, the guillotine did not reach me in this time stop technique. But I knew that my teacher had pulled me into her killing intent domain. This was a mental illusion and that I needed to break free. I stand. The world began to barrage the killing intent domain with a multitude of punches, managing to crack the domain with this attack, eventually shattering it to pieces. As I came to my senses, I was already laying on the ground. So you're awake now. You're quite tough. You know that. It seems like my teacher had ripped me out from my Titan form. She even destroyed the hardened defensive crystal I formed to protect my body. But teacher, you cheated just now, didn't you? I beat you fair and square. Where's the cheating in that? I may have used a bit more force than necessary, but it's hard to hold back when you're super strong like me. But I just stared at her judgingly. And Gong Qi couldn't keep a straight face. Okay. I won't bend the rules next time. Alright. Please don't be mad. I haven't had anyone to play with in decades. But I reassured her that I wouldn't leave. I worked so hard to become your disciple. Why would I leave? Well, I was crying just now. Just so you know, I've got a good sense of your strength. So we can start training now. Is there anything you want to learn? Advanced martial techniques. And how do you manage to slice through lighting? And even my Titan forms. You mean the slashing? It's hard to teach. You have to get a feel for it after cutting enough things. What do you mean by that? It's the phenomenon known as the line. Any creature has a precise point of entry. A line that can be cleanly severed. You can call it the kill line. I understood that my master's slash was like a butcher with perfect precision. A clean and perfect technique. To learn it, you have to become a full-fledged martial artist first. You need a solid martial foundation to learn most of my techniques. That's the difference between a martial artist and a martial disciple. You know, it's improvement of the body, and improvement of the mind as well. Martial artists have a certain ability that disciples do not have. It's called inner vision. With inner vision, martial artists understand their own body and martial energy more. It can be said that a strong spirit comes first, and then comes the strength of the body. I was greatly satisfied with my teacher. Her words were profound and actually taught me something. So what's the difference in advancement methods? Once you reach that level, they are ranked in 4 tiers. Typical students only have access to unranked advancement techniques, while they are easy to use. A.80 use these to break though. But Imperial University students start with Xuanhuang, tier methods at minimum. What about the higher tiers? The Tengang tier skills are basically sacred relics. Even our Imperial University has just one. However, you can learn a Disha tier advancement technique. I'll teach you the Killer's Bhati Sutra. This is a Disha level cultivation method. This is what inspired your devil in the flesh technique. She snapped her fingers, and the surrounding environment instantly transformed. I was no longer in the comfortable training room, but standing in a field covered in a thick layer of blood. Around me, spectral figures of countless monsters shrieked and lunged, their eyes glowing with red malevolence. I wasn't allowed to use any martial skill or power, just the blade in my hand to fight these zombies. The point of the exercise is to let my body remember the sensation of slicing skin and splitting bone, training the muscle memory to instinctively locate the kill line. And so I finally understood the assignment. I began to move and slice all the enemies around me. Gunk was even impressed. She still couldn't believe I could withstand her killing intent domain. After the training, I was back in my dorm room, taking a bath after the tiring training session. Just then, Liu Qingshu called my phone. She called me to let me know that the delivery I asked from her mom had arrived. I also asked if she finally met her mentor today, and she replied with, Dean Bay. She said I had potential, so she took me in as her student. But who's your mentor? He couldn't bear to tell her that I rejected the deans, so I dismissed her question. But she continued to tell me the events of the first term. Youngzi had formed the Dragon Blood Society. Naturally, the seniors who returned began to clash with this new Dragon Blood Society. Soon enough, there were duels between the factions, and the Dragon Blood Society lost its momentum from the losses they incurred. Currently, the most popular first here is Shimjian Hui, a top scorer in the Imperial College entrance exam. As for Yi, no one remembers him anymore, since he vanished from the public view over 3 months ago. Time passed, back inside the confinement room. Go faster. With each stat, I'm injecting Yi with refined martial energy. It'll help you get used to the Killer's Bhati Sutra, and it can also help solidify your newly broken through martial artist stage. Come on, are you tired already? You haven't even hit 1000 yet. Who are you? Falling scrub. Watch me pick up the pace. Then as I reached 1000 push-ups, my body exploded with martial energy. My old worn-out muscles started to peel off, replacing them with brand new muscles charged with martial power. Alright, it's time to end this retreat. You're finally leaving. I have been holed up with you for 3 months now. I need to see the sun again. You come back for me, Of course I will. But try to get better at video games before I return, so we can have more fun. It's been 3 months. Even if I don't love the sunlight anymore, I still miss it. However, I can't just stroll around now. There's still plenty of work to do. At the Imperial University, a key component to your grades is campus missions. Hunting criminals, investigating secret realms, beast-tie defense So for my first stop, the Student Activity Center, to grab a mission, and to reunite with my good old buddy. Long time no see, Shuzhou. You're finally come out of seclusion. You really kept me waiting this time, eh? Shu smiled. Finally. You've been keeping me waiting forever. Hey, Cho, how's it going? How much stronger have you gotten? Broke through to the warrior level 2 months ago, Shu replied. When his eyes landed on Yi, he paused. Yi's aura and physique didn't seem much different, yet Shu could feel a far stronger pressure radiating from him. 2 months earlier, after his breakthrough, Shu had been invited to watch a private duel between Jiang Jianwei, the star freshman of the imperial capital, and Ouyamzi, vice president of the Dragon Blood Society. That fight lasted only 10 minutes before Ohyun's admitted defeat. Shua was certain Shan Jianwei hadn't fought seriously. Yet, even so, he still believed Yahi's strength surpassed his. He had no idea about his friend's thoughts. His gaze drifted toward the street as he waited for another teammate to arrive. Moments later, Lu Qingjiu came into view. Even among the countless beauties of Hueju University, her presence made the others pale in comparison. She offered a warm smile. "Sorry, I'm late." He raised an eyebrow at her apology. "And what else?" Lu Qingjiu asked in confusion. Even after 3 months apart, having Yahi's gaze fixed on her still made her ears turn red. After all, her mother had been whispering all sorts of blush-inducing couple advice in her ear. "Qingjiu, remember you and Yahi are a couple now. Even at school, you need to act like one." Thinking about her mother's words, her face flushed even deeper. "Does that mean we have to act like a couple right now?" She overthought for a moment, then mustering her courage, pouted and leaned toward him. He froze. "What are you doing? After 3 months apart, you're not even going to say hello first." Lu Qingjiu hadn't expected that to be what he meant. Flustered, she quickly turned away and ignored him. They soon stepped into the university's activity center, a massive 5-story, dome-shaped building. In the first-floor lobby, a huge central screen displayed the latest popular missions as well as the rankings of top-performing students. Shu and Lu Qingjiu had already completed 3 missions, surpassing their quota. Today, they were here mainly to form a team with Yahi. After browsing the mission list, they narrowed it down to 3 suitable ones: Serial Psychopath in Hongxi, Beast Hide Investigation in Lane City, and Anomaly in Lange County. Originally, all 3 missions were level 2, but the Lange County mission had suddenly jumped to level 3 today. The university's off-campus missions are ranked from level 1 to level 5, with difficulty increasing by rank. Freshmen can usually only take level 1 missions. The only level 2 mission Shu and Lu Qingjiu had ever joined was a 10-person team job. Getting approval for a 3-person freshman squad to take a level 2 mission was already rare. He, however, had a special privilege card from Gong, handed to him right before she left. "Yahi, you're already capable of handling things on your own. In all my freshman and sophomore years, there were only a handful who could spar with you. You need high-difficulty missions to sharpen yourself. With this card, you can accept any mission on campus, regardless of rank. Just don't mess with level 4 or 5 missions. They're too unpredictable. Even Xuan, level warriors have died on those." Truth be told, he didn't want to try a level 4 or 5 mission out of consideration for his teammates' limits. Shu asked, "Which one are we taking?" He thought for a moment before replying, "Risk and reward go hand in hand. The first mission is pure pursuit. It'll be inefficient if the criminal investigation unit couldn't catch this rat in months. The challenge is in tracking, not in the kill. The second mission is an auxiliary investigation. With the Great Xia Dragon Sparrow division involved, we'd be relegated to trivial tasks. Neither the main fight nor the real investigation would fall to us. The third mission, on the other hand, would be entirely in our hands. Yes, there's a safety net, but the bigger the risk, the greater the reward. If we're too scared to face danger and just grow in a greenhouse, then why call ourselves warriors?" His stance was firm. Shu nodded in agreement, and Lu Qingjiu felt the same way. Seeing both of them agree, he handed the mission registration form to the receptionist. The receptionist's eyes widened in disbelief. An all-freshman team daring to take on a level 3 mission. This was madness. Didn't they know a sophomore squad had already been wiped out in Lange County? Before she could refuse, he flashed his privilege card. Her expression immediately turned serious, and she called the Student Activity Center's director to confirm. Once verified, her tone shifted to respectful as she processed their registration. "May fortune favor your blades," she wished sincerely. Leaving the activity center, he said he needed to pick something up before heading to Lange County. The first place prize in the Zodiac Pendant Tournament was either a die-level martial art or a weapon forged from a special grade alloy. With Gong, that old monster, as his mentor, high-tier martial arts were the least of his worries. So, he chose a weapon that fit his style. After all, ordinary materials couldn't withstand the sheer brutality of his fighting methods. This weapon was forged from a special grade alloy, Starfall steel, a perfectly tailored war blade built to match his physique and strength. 3 months had passed. It should be ready by now. He rushed to the Mechanical and Magidech Academy's forge, eager to claim his weapon. The war blade measured about 1.2 meters long. Its broad, flat edge was dark in color but speckled with tiny, star-like glimmers, the signature markings of Starfall steel. The spine of the blade was lined with dense, serrated ridges, adding weight and impact so that each swing could unleash devastating force. The hilt was wrapped in custom black leather for grip, with fine starfall steel threads woven inside to channel martial energy directly into the weapon. When he drew the blade and swung it, the air itself seemed to split apart. Each strike came with a sharp whoosh and a flash of light that sent chills down the spine. Perfect. Just the right way. The feel fits like a glove, he thought, impressed. It had been crafted using his measurements from 3 months ago, yet still matched his newly enhanced warrior strength. Truly, Huada's master smiths were in a league of their own. After stowing the blade, he set off with Chu and Lu Qingxiu toward Lench County, a small, unremarkable town. With no secret realms ever appearing in the area, local warriors were rare, and the place felt far more outdated and closed off compared to the outside world. Most residents still relied on old buses, tricycles, or electric scooters for transportation. For this mission, the 3 of them were posing as ordinary university students. Huada had already forged their identities and complete background records. Upon arrival, he activated his life magnetic field to scan the surroundings. Although his range could easily cover the entire county, he deliberately restricted it to less than 100 meters. He didn't want to startle any rats hiding in the shadows. After all, in pest control, the hard part wasn't killing them, it was finding them. Let's go double-check the house arranged for us first. Just as they were about to head out, a tricycle slowed to a stop in front of them. The elderly driver called out, "Hey kids, where are you headed? Want a ride?" Lu Qingxiu instinctively started to wave him off, but he quickly stopped her. He had sensed something unusual in the old man's aura. Playing along, he smiled and said, "Sure, Grandpa. We're carrying luggage and could use the rest." Once they were seated in the tricycle, the old man, pedaling, glanced back curiously. "You kids look like well-educated students. Which school are you from?" "Here on vacation." He answered calmly, sticking to his cover story. "I'm a local from Lench County, just bringing 2 classmates over to visit. I'm studying in Yinchuan now." The old man's brows rose. "A local? Both. Who are your folks?" "Can't seem to recall you." He chuckled. "My grandfather was Ye Shiron. He passed away a few years back. I moved away after that." He was glad he practiced some Linchuan dialect on the plane, and that the Huada had prepared for him matched a real, verifiable person. Turned out the old man really did know Ye Shiron. His suspicion eased, and he grinned. Good. You still remember your roots. A man like that's bound to have blessings." He dragged out the last word, his eyes glinting with a strange excitement. Soon they arrived at the old house Huada had arranged for them, Ye Shiron's home. He thanked the old man, got off with a suitcase, and stepped into the yard. Interestingly, the old man didn't take any fare. Instead, he reminded Yi in 2 days, we'll have Lench County's biggest festival, held only once every 3 years. You must come. If you're too shy to step out, I'll come fetch you myself." He smiled. Got it. He could tell the man wasn't just being polite. He meant every word. The 3 stepped into the courtyard of the old house. Years of neglect had left the concrete ground cracked and riddled with weeds, giving the place a desolate feel. He motioned for Chu and Lu Qingxiu to step back, then slammed his foot down on the ground. In an instant, a wave of intense radiation swept through the courtyard and the entire house. Every insect dropped dead on the spot, and the weeds withered and rotted at a speed visible to the naked eye. Pest control and weed removal were done in seconds. Lu Qingxiu wasted no time inspecting the condition of the house while Chu discreetly set up miniature surveillance cameras at the gates and around the perimeter. Come take a look at this." Following Lu Qingxiu's voice, he stepped into what had once been the owner's bedroom. There, embedded in the wall, was a wooden shrine. Inside sat a clay statue, its head draped with a small red cloth. A shrine made of wood should have rotted long ago if it hadn't been here all along. Yet, despite the thick layer of dust, once it was brushed away, the shrine looked surprisingly new. That meant someone had placed it here later. Chu stared at the statue, an uneasy feeling creeping over him, and drew his sword, intending to smash it first and ask questions later. Lu Qingxiu thought Chu was being reckless. How could they destroy such a crucial lead without examining it first? He, however, fully agreed with Chu's approach. Seeing Yi side with him, Lu Qingxiu reluctantly compromised but suggested, "At least let's see what's under the statue's veil before smashing it." As she spoke, she reached out and lifted the red cloth from the statue's head. In that instant, he suddenly sensed a surge of sinister energy, and quickly shouted for her to saw. "Knew it. It's something filthy. Shuao. Smash it." Without a moment's hesitation, Shu's blade flashed from its sheath, cleaving the clay statue clean in half. What happened next was grotesque. From the split surface, thick black blood began to gush, and a wave of foul psychic energy erupted like an explosion. He immediately summoned his stand, seizing the formless, corrupted spirit in his grasp. Shu and Lu Qingju couldn't see Yihe's stand. In their eyes, what poured out of the statue was a twisted lump of flesh, still writhing, still alive. With a single sweeping motion, Shu froze the grotesque mass solid in an instant. What the hell is that? A chill crept up Lu Qingju's spine. She had never seen anything this unsettling before. It was like a human who could easily crush a cockroach yet instinctively recoils from touching it. She knew she could destroy the thing with a flick of her hand, but the filthy, unnatural aura it radiated still made her uneasy. He stepped forward, patting her shoulder, and infused her with a surge of pure psychic energy. Warmth spread through her body, chasing away all traces of fear. It was now clear, the strange happenings in Lunch County were tied to this bizarre clay idol, and their investigation had just taken a critical step forward. Yihe's lips curved into a faint smile as he told them to stay put. He had something to take care of. Earlier, he had left a radiation marker on the old tricycle driver. By his calculation, now was the perfect time to reel him in. No need for you to come find me, old man. This time I am coming to you. Meanwhile, in Lunch County's Jain Buddhist temple, a 1,000-year-old sanctuary, and the most magnificent, prosperous site in the county, nearly every resident was a devoted follower. Day and night, incense smoke curled into the air as worshippers came to pay their respects around the clock. Lu Jinshen pedaled his tricycle up the mountain road, heading for the temple's rear slope. A rosy-cheeked young monk greeted him with a polite bow. Benefactor, the abbot is waiting for you inside. Good. Lu Jinshen rubbed his calloused hands together, unable to hide his excitement at the thought of the blessing he was about to receive. The two entered a hidden passage carved into the rock wall. After a series of twists and turns through the winding tunnel, they finally arrived at their destination. Towering before them stood 220-meter tall, wrath-faced bodhisattvas. Their 4 arms wielded demon-subduing staffs, swords and great blades, one guarding each side of a crimson gate, its surface engraved with intricate golden Buddhist patterns. The young monk stepped forward, bowing deeply. Abbot, the benefactor, Lu Jinsheng, who has met the blessing standard, has been brought. He also says there's a matter he wishes to report. The young monk was about to push the door open when he suddenly froze, his brows knitting tightly as he glared into the void behind him. Stranger, what brings you here at this hour? What's your true intent? Before his words could settle, black muscles surged across his body, shredding his robe apart. His fair and handsome face twisted, replaced by a hideous lizard-like visage. Lu Jinshen was so horrified he collapsed to his knees, trembling as he cried out, "A living god!" But in the next instant, he dropped from the sky, stomping directly onto the monster's skull. The head, harder than a steel helmet, collapsed instantly, and the neck shattered into fragments under the crushing force. In one continuous motion, he stomped the creature from head to toe into a pulp. Blood and gore exploded outward, yet all of it was blocked by a protective barrier. He sneered in disgust, shaking his foot. Filthy. Good thing my stand keeps this trash out. If it got on my clothes, cleaning it off would have been a nightmare. The moment Lu Jinshen recognized Yihe, his whole body trembled uncontrollably. Yihe, however, had no time to spare him a glance. For in front of him, the 2 wrath-faced bodhisattvas began to move. Their eyes blazed red, and their towering, gold-painted bodies started to stir. One brandished a demon-subduing cudgel, the other a demon-laying sword, both charging at Yihe with overwhelming fury. Yet Yihe stood his ground, motionless. Behind him, his stand raised its massive, muscular hands, catching both strikes that carried the weight of dozens of tons. Each bodhisattva had an arm seized, held so tightly that escape was impossible. Abandoning the struggle, they made a ruthless choice. 6 remaining arms swung at once, bringing down 6 colossal weapons, all aimed straight at Yihe. He rubbed the ring on his finger, and in the next breath drew out the starfall blade. A crescent-shaped flash of icy light burst forth in his hand. With just a single casual swing, all 6 colossal weapons shattered on contact, their edges crumpling and breaking apart. The strike carried through into the bodhisattva's arms, exploding joint by joint like firecrackers, reducing both weapons and bones to fragments. Their crimson eyes blazed brighter, warping the very air around them. From within burst forth scarlet beams saturated with destructive power, all aiming to annihilate Yihe. But Yihe moved faster than their laser eyes. In the blink of an eye, his figure soared above the 2 statues. A flash of cold steel, and both rat-faced bodhisattvas were decapitated. Their scarlet beams spiraled wildly out of control in midair. Lu Jinshan hadn't even reacted before one of the stray beams sliced him clean in half. Boom. The two massive bodhisattvas collapsed, exposing sparking cables and mechanical structures within. So they weren't living beings after all. Yeah, he thought with a start. He hadn't sensed a single trace of life force within them. But how could a backward little town like Lynch County possess such advanced technology? Is he the answer waiting behind that door? He gave a command, and his stand unleashed its full might, slamming straight into the gate. Golden fists rained down like a meteor shower, hundreds of blows landing within just 3 seconds. The vermilion gate warped and buckled under the onslaught. At last, it exploded apart, reduced to a heap of twisted scrap iron. He stepped through the vermilion gate and found himself inside a vast underground palace. Crimson pillars held up the chamber while lotus lamps lined the walls, flooding the space with light. At the center towered a colossal golden Buddha, 70 to 80 meters high. The sheer size of it inspired instinctive awe and reverence. But he was unmoved. His cold voice echoed through the cavernous hall. Since the guest has already arrived, little rat, how long do you plan on hiding? Moments later, a monk draped in a purple bold kasaya slowly stepped out from behind the giant Buddha. With a weary sigh, he said, "Our temple bears no grudge against you, traveler. Why come here to bring offense?" He sneered, drawing the starfall blade. In an instant, his slash split the monk clean in half. He spat in disgust. "Damn it, you're just a robot." "What? Addicted to playing dress up as a fake monk?" Another monk emerged from behind the giant Buddha, his voice chilling. "Your sins are far too heavy. Better you spend some time with the fins of the 18th hell to temper that vicious nature of yours." "Cut the crap," he snapped, lifting his blade to strike. But before he could swing, the entire floor of the underground palace began to sink. He plunged downward with it. After falling nearly 20 meters, he landed hard at the bottom. Around him, 18 massive holes split open the walls. From them poured a swarm of humanoid monsters, their black, gel-like skin glistening, faces twisted into lizard-like shapes. Each one radiated the energy of a level 1 or level 2 warrior. Their life force signatures were almost identical, like products of mass production. He sneered. "Trying to drown me in numbers. The last fools who tried that are long buried with weeds over their graves." He roared, pouring a surge of murderous ki into the starfall blade. The weapon swelled under its power, its blade extending to 30 meters in length. Shin Wong blade art. Shura's 3 slashes. First slash 1,000 miles of carnage. With a single sweep, he swung the colossal blade. A crimson arc of blade energy erupted, engulfing the entire hall. Within 30 meters of every lizard-like creature caught in its path was cleaved clean in half. The strike didn't stop there. The energy wave spread outward, though slower in speed. The swarm of bioengineered soldiers, packed like ants, had no room to escape. They were cut down like fields of grass, harvested in one brutal sweep. Even as the 18 tunnels kept spewing more creatures, his slaughter made their numbers meaningless. 10 minutes later, only corpses and rivers of blood remained at his feet. Not a single living thing was left. Standing atop the mountain of bodies, he climbed out of the pit. With one casual stroke, he severed the head of the monk from earlier. Even decapitated, the synthetic husk still repeated its perk-way-corded line. "Your sins are too heavy." He narrowed his eyes at the glowing red optics, his voice cold. "I'm already tired of killing. Stop hiding. Get out here." No sooner had he spoken than laughter echoed through the vast hall. "So, we've drawn the attention of a formidable foe. Impressive, but that's all you are." As the voice resonated, the giant Buddha seated in the center suddenly began to move. The grinding roar of gears thundered from within its body. The prayer beads hanging from its neck floated upward, transforming into hovering cannons. Its shoulders split open, revealing rocket thrusters within. In the blink of an eye, the golden Buddha had reconfigured itself into a towering mecha. "Sinner, your fate is sealed. Return to the cycle of rebirth." The massive Buddha hand rose, descending like a mountain to crush Yahi beneath it. Turbines at its joints roared to full throttle, driving the strike with overwhelming force, intent on grinding Yahi into a pass. Yet, instead of fear, Yahi's fighting spirit ignited, his gaze burning with defiance. As the colossal palm fell, he unleashed his transformation, awakening his titan form, Godzilla. In the next instant, the temperature in the chamber spiked to terrifying levels. Thick steam spread rapidly, shrouding the entire hall. The operator behind the giant Buddha hadn't even figured out what was happening when a towering, black-armored titan, even larger than before, loomed into view. No chance was given to react. He sneered, mockingly chanting the Buddha's name before using his biological body's superior agility to hurl a massive punch straight into its face. Immediately after, he seized the Buddha's head with one hand and drove his iron-hard knee upward in a brutal strike. The impact shattered the mecha's facial armor, tearing open a gaping crack. Sparks erupted from its steel skeleton within, accompanied by a harsh mechanical alarm. Critical warning. Multiple damages detected in head unit. The mecha Buddha staggered, its massive body tilting backward. The floating prayer bead cannons crossed their fire, unleashing a torrential rain of lasers that hammered into Yahi's titan form. Yet the beams, powerful enough to pierce military-grade armored vehicles, left nothing but a few scorch marks on the black armored titan. Not a scratch beyond that. The next moment, the Buddha's chest split open, revealing a cluster of crimson-tipped missiles. They launched in unison, slamming into Yahi's body. The detonations rocked the entire underground palace, shaking it to its core. But when the smoke cleared, the black armored giant still stood tall, flames licking across his body. He sneered, his gaze sharp. All your toys are just heat-based weapons. Against a warrior like me, they're useless. With that, he invoked the power of the Warhammer Titan. The ground split open, and countless hardened bone spikes erupted upward, skewering the mecha Buddha head and suspending it in midair. He opened his massive jaws, and unleashed a blazing atomic breath straight into the Buddha's chest. The mecha, already critically damaged, could no longer rely on its electromagnetic shield for protection. In the end, the atomic breath tore it apart, reducing it to a heap of wreckage. He reverted to human form, landing firmly on the ground. He was beneath the lotus throne where the Buddha once sat, and spotted a hidden passage leading deep underground. Half an hour earlier, inside a pristine, futuristic research facility, a researcher, eyes fixed on the surveillance via Yahi, spoke confidently to the elderly man beside him. Doctor, the man has taken down the mechanical Bodhisattva's. But rest assured, the gate built with our newest materials and structural designs is unbreakable. Moments later on the screen, he didn't even raise his hand. The vermilion gate exploded into twisted scrap, blasted aside by some unseen force. The researcher stiffened, forcing calm. No problem, Doctor. We still have our army of bio-bulgers. Tens of thousands of them. Enough to wear down even a Grand Marshal Master. A perfect chance to clear out some inventory. But soon after, the feed showed Yahi wielding a 38-meter blade, cutting through them like fields of wheat. One sweep and entire hordes fell. The researcher's face turned pale. Drawing a sharp breath, he muttered, Doctor. But it's fine. We still have our trump card. Trust in our design. This mecha Buddha was engineered specifically to counter Lord Flash beasts. Against a mere martial warrior, it'll crush him with ease. A moment later, when the researcher saw the mecha Buddha torn apart by Yahi's bare hands, he was struck dumb. It's fine, Doctor. We still have. Before he could finish, the short old man beside him snapped in fury. Shut the hell up, and not with your cursed optimism. The enemy is already tearing through our front door. And you're still saying it's fine. The guards above might buy us a few minutes at best. We need to retreat immediately. Once we're out, trigger the base's self-destruct protocol. We cannot allow any of this information to leak. The old man was known as Dr. Feng, once a level 3 researcher for Prometheus. After Prometheus was disbanded, he was secretly recruited by Laserbird. 10 years ago, Laserbird set its sights on the unremarkable Ishu County, quietly replacing all the monks of Jinshin Temple. Using the townsfolk's devotion to the temple, Laserbird began brainwashing them under the guise of bestowing blessings. One by one, the residents were lured into undergoing human modification, turned into free test subjects to fuel the organization's biotech research with endless materials and clinical data. But now, this facility had to be abandoned. Just as the core researchers were heading toward the escape tunnel, a beam of blue light suddenly sliced open the ceiling above. Abbot, where exactly do you think you're running? Yahi's mocking laughter echoed through the hall. Several guards rushed forward, intent on killing him. But before they could even get close, Yahi's stand appeared, instantly snapping their limbs like twigs. He strode up to Dr. Fang with a cold sneer, his gaze sharp as blades. What do you want? We can negotiate, Dr. Fang stammered, even as his hand slipped into his pocket to trigger the base's self-destruct. Laserbird had implanted microbombs into every key researcher and leader. Their families and friends were kept under strict watch as well, ensuring absolute obedience and preventing any leaks. But Yahi had already caught the old man's trick. Before he could press the switch, Yahi crushed his arm in an instant. Dr. Fang flailed in agony. His throat clamped shut, choking like a fish dragged onto land. His short legs kicked wildly in the air, powerless. Only when he was on the verge of passing out did Yahi finally release him, tossing him to the ground like trash. Dr. Fang's lungs finally drew in fresh air again. When he looked back at Yahi, his eyes were filled with raw terror. Seeing him subdued, he began his interrogation. Now, you're going to tell me everything you've done here in Lishui County. 2 weeks ago, were you the ones who killed those 3 young martial artists? What the hell are you people doing here? At that, Dr. Fang let out a twisted, deranged laugh. Ha! This lab's secrets will never reach you. There's a signal monitor wired into my brain. The moment I utter any corporate keywords, the bomb in my body detonates. Either way, I'm dead. So, I'll take the quick way out. He bit down, shattering the poison capsule hidden in his mouth. Instantly, the entire facility glowed, crimson warning sirens blaring. With Dr. Fang's heartbeat ceasing, the self-destruct system linked to it activated. He only chuckled darkly. Laser bird. All of you really are nothing but suicidal fanatics. Too bad. In front of me, even death will be a luxury you don't get to choose. He then unleashed his vampire powers, driving his finger straight into the artery in Dr. Fang's neck. The corpse virus surged into his bloodstream, spreading rapidly through his entire body. The heart that had already stopped suddenly began to beat again, pounding even stronger than before. Normally, vampire bloodlines could indeed infect humans or corpses, turning them into corpse-born thralls. But most would degrade into mindless zombies without healing ability, losing intelligence, and rotting away, save for a rare few with innate talent. Yihi's virus, however, had been modified with the power of the founding titan. That power could transform ordinary humans into titans, and grant him absolute control over them. Over the past 3 months, beyond honing his martial arts, he had delved into his template powers, experimenting with their chemical-like interactions. He discovered that when combined, their effects were far greater than the sum of their parts. For instance, by fusing Titan power into the vampire virus, he could now create perfect thralls, retaining their memories and talents, immune to sunlight, gifted with powerful regeneration, and bound in both body and soul to his command. As Dr. Fang's heart restarted, the base's self-destruct sequence immediately shut down. His body surged with vitality. Then, sparse hair thickened once more. His frail frame bulked out, transforming him into a fit, broad-shouldered man in his 40s. Overwhelmed, he dropped to his knees, unable to meet the gaze of the youth who stood before him like a god. My lord. He nodded in satisfaction. This is the first time I've turned someone into a thrall. It looks like the experiment was a success. From now on, you'll be called the Mad Doctor. Your past is irrelevant. The only thing left for you, he said, his eyes gleaming coldly, is to serve me. At that moment, a psychic link formed between Yahi and the newly made Mad Doctor. This was the authority of the founding Titan, granting Yahi, as the progenitor, the right to enter the spiritual worlds of all his bloodline subordinates. No more wasting time on surveillance. With a single thought, he broke into the Mad Doctor's mind, rifling through his memories of Lishui County to uncover when the city had first been compromised. Through those memories, he discovered that 8 years ago, Dr. Fang's team had been dispatched to Lishui by the Laserbird Corporation. There, they secretly used the villagers as subjects in experiments with soldiers and mechanical constructs. But just as their research began to succeed, an insidious cult called Shunjiang Heaven infiltrated the region without anyone realizing. With bizarre methods, they subtly rewrote the perceptions of the villagers, and even the research team itself. Over time, symptoms began to show. Eating raw flesh, constant lethargy, worshipping clay idols, and even mass sleepwalking. Eating raw flesh marked the first stage of corruption, physical mutation triggered by that alien will. Lethargy indicated a deeper level of spiritual distortion. Worshipping clay idols meant the mind and body had been almost completely corrupted beyond salvation. And mass sleepwalking, that was the final sign. Their souls had already become food for that twisted will. The investigation revealed that in the past 2 years, the maximum lifespan of Lishui's residents had dropped to just 50 to 55 years. Anyone older than that had already been devoured by the alien will. In the end, the entire city was destined to become its food. This organization, calling itself Shunjiang Heaven, was in truth an anti-human cult, worshipping knowledge from ancient ruins and seeking the destruction of mankind. Dr. Fang speculated that the source corrupting the minds of Lishui's people and feeding on their life force was a demon fetus brought out from a secret ruin. According to his calculations, the fetus would fully mature 2 nights from now. Having pieced together the truth, he withdrew from the mental link. He suddenly recalled the old tricycle man's words that in 2 days, Lishui would host a so-called blooming festival. By then, the entire city's population would be gathered. He finished reading all of the Mad Doctor's memories. To his surprise, he uncovered an unexpected gift. Before his death, the Mad Doctor had not only taken part in the research of the Golden Gene but also understood its usage and effects. However, that knowledge could only be put to use after the mission was complete. As for the plan of Shunjiang Heaven, he already had a mad solution in mind. Technically, all he needed to do was uncover the truth and claim High University's reward. But what he wanted now was far greater. He aimed to snatch Shunjiang Heaven's prize for himself. He then ordered the Mad Doctor, "You'll hide inside Lishui County. I'll provide you with my blood. Find a way to release it into the county's water supply. Make sure the infection spreads to the maximum extent." The Mad Doctor instantly grasped his plan, his face twisting with excitement. "Why, Lord, you intend to fight Shunjiang Heaven's demon fetus for believers? Madness. This is utterly insane." He nodded. "By now, all the residents of Lishui County have entered the 4th stage of contamination. There's no way for them to return to normal. I admit I have my own motives in transforming them. But once this storm is over, I'll do my best to let them resume their old lives. At the very least, under my control, they won't harm society." After parting with the Mad Doctor, he returned to the old residence to regroup with Chu Tiao and Lu Qingxiu. The two were eating combat rations prepared by High University. Clearly, they had also learned that the townsfolk were eating raw meat, and even human flesh, so they dared not touch the local food. Chu Tiao then revealed what he and Lu Qingxiu had discovered. Restaurants served only raw dishes, and every household worshipped a clay idol. He suspected the entire city was enslaved by some kind of cognitive distortion. Hearing this, he couldn't help but look at Chu Tiao with newfound respect. This killer had guessed nearly spot on. He then recounted their trip to Jinshan Temple, though he deliberately left out the part about assimilating the Mad Doctor and his plan to steal Shunjiang Heaven's prize. Lu Qingxiu's eyes widened in shock. She never expected such chaos in a small county. Chu Tiao was just as stunned that even a powerful biotech organization had been swallowed up by Lishui's anomalies. "This has already gone beyond a level 3 mission, hasn't it? Should we call High University for backup?" Lu Qingxiu asked nervously. He shook his head repeatedly. "Are you kidding? If High University steps in, how am I supposed to intercept the prize?" "Don't worry. This task is strange, yes, but it doesn't pose any real threat to our safety. Stop scaring yourselves. If your first thought is to run for reinforcements at the first sign of danger, what can we ever accomplish? For now, we wait until nightfall," he said firmly. "So far, we've seen the anomalies of eating raw flesh and worshipping clay idols. There's still one left we haven't experienced: mass sleepwalking. Perhaps only at night will this heavily twisted city reveal its true face." Meanwhile, at Laserbird headquarters, the board of directors convened an emergency meeting to address the sudden blackout of the Jinshan Temple base. Just 30 minutes earlier, headquarters had received a signal that the base's self-destruct sequence in Lishui County had been activated, only to be aborted within seconds. This immediately raised alarms in the information department. They tried contacting the base, but no one answered. Realizing the severity, the department had escalated the matter to the board. Following their ruthless doctrine of better to kill by mistake than let one slip away, the board ordered all implanted heart bombs within the base's researchers to be detonated, ensuring no survivors. At the same time, they dispatched a special squad to Lishui County to investigate the situation firsthand. Moments later, inside Lishui's central water plant, the Mad Doctor, who had been standing tall, suddenly felt his pupils contract. Without warning, he drove his hand into his chest and ripped his heart straight out. He hurled it away, and the organ exploded like fireworks, spraying blood in every direction. Even as an undead, losing such a vital organ left the Mad Doctor weakened while his heart slowly regenerated. He sent a message to Yehi. "My lord, Laserbird just detonated the bomb inside me. Knowing their methods, they'll send a special squad to Lishui any moment now." He read the message and calmly replied, "No matter. Continue the plan." Night fell as a train slowly pulled into Lishui County Station. 5 passengers stepped off the carriage. One seemingly ordinary middle-aged man spoke up. "Sir Mo. No wonder the company chose this place for a secret base." A woman dragging a suitcase with a baby in her arms replied, "The company already confirmed that Daxia's dragon sparrow wasn't involved with the Jinshan Temple base. So who did it? The company has far too many enemies." The man in glasses, clearly the leader, issued his command coldly. "Head to the base first. Destroy every piece of equipment and data we can." This young man, who looked no different from an ordinary programmer, was in fact the captain of Laserbird's 3rd Squad, once known across the entire underworld as the King of Assassins. Their assignments were set. Golden Snake and Bluebird would investigate the state of Lishui County. Meanwhile, the programmer captain, Black Lion, along with a pot-bellied man, Catfish, and the woman with a baby, White Sheep, were tasked with heading to the Jinshan Temple base. Golden Snake and Bluebird, both masters of stealth, melted into the city's shadows as they quickly gathered and organized what they saw. Silently, they slipped into a residential home. The moment they entered, a nauseating stench of rotting meat hit them. After checking, they discovered the source, a severed human head placed in the kitchen. Bluebird stepped into the master bedroom, where she found a clay idol with a red veil draped over its head. Driven by curiosity, she lifted the cloth. In an instant, her consciousness was seized by the idol. Meanwhile, Golden Snake stood in the living room, listening through his earpiece to Captain Black Lion's update. They had uncovered the cause of the Jinshan Temple base's downfall. A lone warrior had single-handedly smashed through the entire facility. Tens of thousands of bio-engineered corpses littered the underground palace, along with the wreckage of the fortress-class battlemech. The Great Buddha lay in shattered pieces, and not a single researcher survived. Even a lead scientist, Dr. Feng, was missing. At least his body wasn't found anywhere near the temple. Just as Jinshi finished listening to the report, his signal suddenly cut out. Looking toward the window, he froze on the spot. The once empty street outside was now packed with residents in pajamas. Their expressions were serene, eyes closed, moving forward, slowly closing in on his position. Realizing he was being surrounded by the townsfolk, Jinshi hurried to warn King Niao to retreat. But the moment he pushed open the bedroom door, a dagger coated in anesthetic slammed into his abdomen. As his consciousness faded, Jinshi was horrified to see that his attacker was none other than his teammate, King Niao. Just before blacking out, the last thing he saw was the clay idol on the bedside shrine, its red veil torn away. That idol was none other than the moon demon Boros, taken from the ruins of a secret realm. That night, the moon over Lynch County loomed unnaturally large. Its cold white light bathed the city, illuminating every corner without the need for lamps. From the top of a clock tower, he stood at the spire, surveying the city. In the southeast, he spotted the outbreak of mass sleepwalking, relaying this information to Chu and Lu Qingjiu. He then leaped down from the tower, heading straight to regroup with them. At that moment, Jinshi slowly regained consciousness from the anesthetic haze. He and his teammate, King Niao, were tied tightly to two massive pillars. "You're from the Divine Descent Kingdom, aren't you? We can talk this out. The organization behind me has real power," he shouted. But as he looked at the crowd surrounding him, Jinshi tried to reason with them, yet no one responded. Every controlled villager wore the same eerie grin, their expressions deranged like lunatics. Just then, a deep tolling of bells rang out as if proclaiming the descent of some presence. Instinctively, Jinshi looked up to the sky. The clouds parted, and the moon grew even larger, so vast it seemed ready to descend upon the earth. The sleepwalking villagers now climbed upward like swarming ants, forming a colossal human ladder that reached into the heavens. The rest carried the two pillars bearing Jinshi and King Niao, ascending step by step upon the living ladder like an ancient Mayan sacrifice climbing a pyramid. Only this time, their offering was for the moon itself. Meanwhile, inside the Jian Temple base, Haishi realized Jinshi and King Niao had gone silent. Alarmed, he quickly rallied his two remaining teammates, suspecting that whoever had destroyed the base might have struck again. No matter what, something big must be happening in the city. We need to seize the initiative. Back to the city now. The three had barely stepped outside the temple when they caught sight of the massive full moon hanging in the night sky. At its very center, a visible beam of moonlight pierced downward. The light struck a specific point in Lynch County, resembling a divine miracle. Even Heishi, a man who had seen it all, was left speechless at the sight. For the first time, he wondered if the fall of the Jain Temple base was far more complicated than the higher-ups had believed. Move. Head to where the moonlight lands. That could explain Jinshi and King Niao's disappearance. With that, Heishi took the lead, racing toward the heart of Lynch County. The three closed in quickly, drawing nearer and nearer to their destination. By coincidence, they ran straight into Chu and Lu Qingjiu, who were also making their way there. At the sight of the two newcomers, Haishi's first instinct was immediate annihilation. With a flick of his wrist, he hurled a dagger at lightning speed, so fast it outpaced the shriek of air it tore through. Sensing the killing intent, Lu Qingxiu instantly summoned a massive blue umbrella to shield them. A haze of azure light rippled from its surface, enveloping both her and Qiu. A thunderous bang rang out as the dagger, deadlier than a heavy sniper round, clashed against the umbrella. The seemingly delicate weapon quivered once, then deflected the blade outright. The rebounded dagger tore through two entire buildings before finally losing its momentum. Paisha was stunned. He never imagined a mere martial artist could possess such a treasure-level Meiji weapon. Lowering the umbrella, Lu Qingxiu fixed him with a wary gaze. She demanded coldly, "Who are you, and why did you attack us?" She sneered at her words. "Judging by your clothes, you're not locals. So you're the vermin who destroyed the Jian temple base." With his ambush failed, Shi knew his team of 3 was now fully exposed. 3 seconds. "Crush these pests," he barked. On command, Nian Yu and Bai Yam lunged straight at Lu Qingxiu and Shuo. Lu Qingxiu and Shuo pressed back to back, forming a tight defensive stance. Nian Yu seized Lu Qingxiu's defensive Meiji weapon with brute force, his greedy eyes flashing as he licked his lips. "Oh, such a rare treasure. Shame to waste it by killing you. But don't worry, your corpse will do just fine. I'll savor it." Aha. The sheer strength in his grip made Lu Qingxiu's arms go numb. She shouted angrily, "Get off me, freak." At that moment, Shuo unleashed his full power. "Ace wall," he roared. A massive frozen barricade erupted from the ground, surging toward Shi and his squad. Shuo knew full well that such a wide area attack wouldn't deal much damage. But that wasn't the point. His real aim was to create enough noise to call Yi to them. That earlier strike, silent yet carrying boundless killing intent, would have left Chu's corpse on the street had it not been for Lu Qingxiu's defensive Meiji weapon. A seasoned veteran, Shi instantly recognized Chu's ploy. Not good, he thought. He's calling for reinforcements. Unleashing the full pressure of a grand warrior, he shattered the incoming ice wall with a single gesture. Shuo was stunned. My ice wall. Thus, broken so easily. Neither he nor Lu Qingxiu was foolish enough to clash head, and in a flash, Shuo tossed several of Huaji University's custom smoke bombs. These 3 were clearly at least high-ranking warriors. Direct combat was suicide. Retreat. The 2 exchanged a glance, quick, decisive, and immediately fell back. But the very next second, Shi had already circled behind them. Twin dagger gleamed in his hands, poised at their throats, ready to decapitate. Only 1 second remained when suddenly every hair on his body stood on end. Another presence had entered the field. Boom! A massive horse-slaying blade slammed down from above, embedding itself in the ground before him. Shi flinched, stepping back. That was close. He glared "Who are you?" "One of their allies." He grinned. "I'm the one here to take your life." Bold words. Assassination art, Phantom 12 force. In a blur, Shi split into 12 afterimages, all surging at Yi as he roared, "Die, brat, Zawarudo." Time froze. The domain of stasis unfolded, and the 24 blades slowed, and slowed, and slowed until they hung motionless in the air. A Grand Martial Master's body, reinforced by battle aura, could withstand even tank shells without breaking skin. Yes, even they could still be killed. Shi's assassination technique, the Phantom Split, was indeed formidable. He couldn't tell which was the true body, but he didn't need to. Shi, real name long forgotten, plain in appearance, yet once the unrivaled king of assassins. One by one, his phantom doubles were shattered by Yi's fists, and his true form was forced into the open. Time Stop was Yi's ultimate ambush. Once unleashed, the enemy must die. No one could ever be allowed to glimpse this terrifying ability. With his vampiric bloodline talent, he accelerated blood 1,000-fold, transforming it into high-pressure crimson jets, infused with the killing aura he had mastered. Killing art, heart-piercing blood fang. Time resumed. The so-called king of assassins, Shi, perished in an instant, his end abrupt and unceremonious. His final thought was disbelief. How had he appeared before me in a single breath? He sees Shi's corpse, his fingers speared into the throat as he sneered, "Your blood will help me break through." From disciple to true warrior. Licking the blood from his hand, he muttered in satisfaction, "Not bad. This one had some value." They've already advanced to warrior stage 8. The battlefield fell silent. No matter how battle-hardened Nian Yu and Bai Yan were, their minds went blank at the sight of their captain's sudden death. What the hell just happened? The captain said, killed by that brat in an instant. This is insane. To lead 2 entire martial realms and kill the foe should have been impossible, even with a powerful artifact. A warrior simply lacks the aura to sustain such a weapon. Yet, he had done it. Worse, he drained the captain's blood dry. This thing isn't human. It's a monster. He stared at them coldly. It's not over yet. Now, let me show you something interesting. Flesh prism, bloodfin puppet. From beneath his feet, his shadow boiled with black, red miasma. A massive, translucent hand of blood and darkness crawled forth from the abyss. As the phantom fully emerged, Nian Yu and Bai Yam recoiled in horror. The figure looked exactly like their captain, drained to a husk just moments ago. Damn it. What kind of monsters are these? Each one's worse than the last. Is that really just a warrior? Bai Yam muttered through gritted teeth. Then she said firmly, "Leave it to me." Her face hardened as she hurled the baby in her arms into the air. Before their eyes, the infant began to grow at terrifying speed, transforming in seconds into a 3-meter tall, muscle-bound monstrosity. "My treasure, stop them. Quick, retreat," she cried as she and Nayanyu fled in panic. "Shuo, Lu Qingju, work with my shadow puppet. Take down that bio-engineered beast. I'll go hunt down those 2 warriors." With that, he vanished from the battlefield in an instant. Shuo wasted no time. He unleashed his bloodline awakening. Ice Demon Dragon, the muscle monstrosity let out a furious roar. Its black muscles bulged, glowing with a sinister red light, and a blazing palm strike, radiating scorching heat, came crashing down toward Shuo. Shuo responded with his profound martial art technique. Ice, the Oring Dragon Shadow. Frost gathered on the lone cold sword, forming a dragon-shaped phantom. With a single slash, a tidal wave of icy currents surged forth, shaping into a ferocious dragon head that swallowed the bio-enhanced brute whole. The muscle monstrosity roared again, its black flesh glowing brighter with crimson light. Its burning heat clashed ahead with the freezing torrent, sending vast clouds of steam billowing into the air. Yet hidden within the icy surge was a far deadlier strike. "Taste my blade." A sword edge concealed within the icy dragon shadow suddenly cut toward the creature's throat. Startled, the muscle monstrosity jerked its head aside, narrowly evading the strike. Yet half of its face was still frozen solid, then shatter, revealing the alloy skull beneath. Shuo hadn't expected a creature of such massive size to react so swiftly. So this is what a bio-engineered human truly is, such speed. But Shuo wasn't fighting alone. The blood-finned shadow, lying in wait, suddenly lunged forward, splitting into 12 crimson phantoms in mid-air. Their blood-forged blades whipped into a dense storm of slashes, tearing through the bio-brute skin, which was as tall as a martial master's defense. In moments, its flesh was flayed open, layer after layer. Even with its formidable regeneration, the wounds came faster than it could heal, leaving the bio-enhanced monster drenched in blood like a grotesque guard. At the same time, Lu Qingxu had finished gathering her power. From her back, massive violet wings spread wide. She stood aloft like a goddess as countless violet, black feathers converged in her palms, compressing into a sphere of smoldering ash. When the ash sphere expanded to 5 meters in diameter, it suddenly ignited, blazing into a violet sun. Genetic art, purple nether sun flame. At that instant, Shu's ice bound the brute's legs while the blood-finned shadow locked it from the front, pinning it in place. From high above, Lu Qingju hurled down the violet sun in her hands. Boom. A thunderous explosion shook the city as a colossal pillar of fire erupted skyward. Its searing brilliance outshone even the frigid moonlight. The muscle monstrosity was engulfed in a sea of violet flames. Its shrieks echoed through the night until, consumed inside and out, it was reduced to nothing but ashes. The city fell into a deathly silence once more. Meanwhile, Mianyu was fleeing frantically through the sewers. The last time he had run in such desperation was on the war-torn battlefields of the Black Triangle, hunted by drug lords and warlords alike. Suddenly, his eyes widened in horror. A beam of azure light, like divine judgment, carved through the stone above, letting cold moonlight pour into the foul, reeking sewer. Rats truly do love to burrow into the sewers. The mocking, taunting words echoed in the tunnels, but Nayanyu couldn't summon the slightest anger. His heart was filled with nothing but fear. Outside, Bai Young fled desperately, her eyes darting warily to every corner. Suddenly, she spotted a 20-meter long, crescent-shaped blade aura slicing into the sky. That killing intent was unmistakable. It could only be Yi. Her heart sank. Nianyu is surely dead, and I'm next. Jin Shi and King Miao went silent. The captain was slain. Even Nianyu is gone. Now it's only me left. Who the hell are those 3 kids? No, I can't die. I have to survive. But where can I run? Her gaze shot upward to the human ladder reaching for the moon. The grotesque sight twisted her gut. This must be the work of the divine descent kingdom. At this point, the only way she could think of to shake off Daihe's pursuit was to surrender herself to that ladder. Even if it meant offering her soul to a demon, she had to live. But when she finally stood before the moon-bound ladder, she couldn't help but gasp sharply. The bridge of naked, writhing human bodies stretched between earth and sky. Every face was frozen in a serene, unsettling smile. Bai Yang shuddered. This is beyond terrifying. Just then, Yehi's voice came from behind her. You going up there? Tai Yong's skin prickled with goosebumps. Damn it, he's caught up. She turned to see Yi, a living Shura. One hand gripped Nin Yu severed, terrified head, the other resting on the starfall blade, his gaze cold and merciless. Bai Yong could no longer think rationally. She scrambled madly up the moon-bound ladder. Though the ladder looked endless, when she climbed, it felt terrifyingly fast. In moments, she reached what appeared to be the surface of the moon. Shot coursed through her entire being. There she saw an ornate gate adorned with exquisite white jade carvings. In a daze, she watched as the gate slowly opened. Inside, she seemed to see her parents standing there, and waving to her. Mom, Dad, I missed you so much. Bai Yong's face broke into a blissful smile. At last, the bronze gates of the divine descent creaked open. From below the lunar ladder, they watched as Uri set foot on the moon. A twisted grin curled across Yahi's lips. The next moment, this figure dissolved into a stream of air. He was never Yahi at all, but an illusion forged to force Ares onto the moon. Perhaps Catfish and Ares hadn't been so terrified at first. It was the moonlight itself that amplified their deepest fears. A clever move. The divine descent of heaven, turning Ares' own fear into the image of Yahi. Now, that's interesting. By this point, Black Lion, captain of Laserbird's third squad, and Catfish were confirmed dead, while the other three likely faced a fate colder than death. He bared his teeth in a smile, calculating quietly. Tomorrow, the people of heaven would arrive for the divine descent. With Laserbird losing both a base and an entire squad, chances were high they'd hold their forces back. And oh, more distractions. After all the setup, the grand show was finally about to begin. In his pupils, atomic blue flames ignited. As dawn approached, the massive moon finally began to drift reluctantly away from the earth. The pillar of light cast from its surface slowly faded. The people of Lanzhou County, who had formed the lunar ladder, descended one by one. Without the moonlight, their withered, lifeless skin swelled back to normal as if vitality had returned. But it was nothing more than a facade. Their stolen life force was gone forever. With their eyes still closed, they wore peaceful expressions as they walked back to their homes as though nothing had ever happened. From a distance, Yehid and his companions silently observed the eerie scene. Liu Qingshu voiced her concern. Yehid, this mission is far stranger than we imagined. Are you sure you still want to push forward? He remained calm. Relax. I've got this. Besides, it's not just the three of us. We have a powerful ally helping us from the shadows. He simply doesn't wish to show himself. An ally. Shu Hao nodded thoughtfully. In his eyes, he could never have been from an ordinary family as the records claimed. Among warriors, bloodlines made all the difference. Higher-tier warriors stood on an entirely different level of existence. Shu Hao's own father was proof, a powerful bastard in every sense. He speculated that He was either the illegitimate child of a mighty warrior or a young master from a great warrior clan sent to train among commoners. If it were the latter, then of course a guardian would be watching over him, who he assumed must be the ally he mentioned. But in the end, Shu Hao was dead wrong. Shu Hao, I have an important mission for you today. As he spoke, countless shadow demons burst from his body, crowding every rooftop around them. At his side stood a blood-fiend shadow identical to Black Lion. The two of you will move together with my shadows and smash every clay idol in the city. Got it, Shu Hao answered without hesitation. Blade in hand, he strode off, two shadows following close behind. Each time Shu Hao shattered an idol, the shadows would devour the filthy spiritual energy within. Liu Qingshu cast He a worried glance, but in the end, chose to follow his plan. Just as she turned away, He suddenly called out to her. Smiling with unshakable confidence in his eyes, he said, Qingshu, trust me. Qingshu's ears flushed red once more and a faint smile curved her lips. I do, but please trust your teammates more in the future. Don't carry everything alone. He returned to the underground palace beneath the Jinshan temple base. A man in a white lab coat had been waiting for him. Bowing respectfully, the mad doctor greeted him. Master. He cut him off coldly. Save it. Time is short. We need to prepare for battle. His gaze fell on the pit filled with a mountain of cyborg corpses, the handiwork of his own slaughter. He had once cast them into death's abyss. Now, he intended to grant them rebirth. Good. The numbers are enough, he muttered, summoning the power of the giant. He carefully restrained the surging lightning so it wouldn't damage the bodies. In moments, a colossal torso, 50 meters tall, took shape before him. The giant raised its massive hands and tore open its own chest, revealing a heart that still pounded furiously. With a thunderous rush, Torrents of the giant's blood cascaded down like a waterfall, drenching the mountain of corpses. The cyborg lying at the top was the first to touch the crimson flood. Its once glazed eyes trembled, then refocused. Torn flesh writhed and began to knit back together. This was all part of Aihe's plan to forge an army of undead giants. First, he would use a vampire virus to resurrect the cyborg corpses, then grant them the power of the progenitor giant. When the time came, they would transform into an unstoppable legion that obeyed his every command. Meanwhile, the Mad Doctor worked at the base computer, directing swarms of nano-mosquitoes into every household in Lanzhou County, delivering what he called Aihe's warm blood. Master, everything is proceeding smoothly. He nodded. Good. The mosquitoes carry vampire blood. Once the infection is complete, go repair that mecha Buddha we dismantled earlier. The Mad Doctor sneered. A full repair is impossible given its condition. But stripping its weapons and rebuilding them into new systems is still within reach. Rest assured, Master. Excellent. My side is already in motion. Now let's see how my opponent, Heaven, chooses to act. While Aihe raced ahead with his preparations, another force was already on its way to Lanzhou County. Divine Descent Heaven was said to have originated from the Humanity Must Perish faction, born when the first rifts to the otherworld erupted. Then, a mysterious pope appeared. He wielded terrifying power drawn from ancient ruins, and with it, transformed a rabble into a force that grew at a terrifying pace. Their doctrine, bring the gods of the otherworld into the mortal realm, and lead backward human civilization into a so-called true heaven. And what was the vessel for such descent? The answer was the demon fetus carried out from those ruins. By devouring the flesh and souls of living beings, the fetus would grow and eventually forge a body through which the gods could briefly manifest on Blue Star. The creed was wholly anti-human. Breeding demon fetuses to wreak havoc, spreading believers, and destabilizing human society. At that moment, a robed figure in a patterned cloak muttered, "This land is the hardest nation for heaven to conquer, and soon it will fall. The divine fetus will be born." From inside a bus came a voice. "Bishop, Lanzhou County lies just ahead." A man in a crimson robe spoke. His attire marked him as a vice-bishop. Years ago, the archbishop planted the divine fetus there himself. Yet in the end, he was slain by those ignorant fools of the Daxia dragon sparrow. He never lived to see the fetus mature. What a cruel, devouring world this is, for a man as steadfast in faith, as compassionate and kind as our archbishop, to be left with not even a body to bury. A bishop clad in crimson robes embroidered with golden scripture wiped away his tears, as though mourning the cruelty of fate toward the righteous. But in the next instant, his face hardened, his voice resolute. We cannot allow the archbishop's sacrifice to be in vain. We cannot let this world fall deeper into the abyss, at the hands of fools. Otherwise, Blue Star will become the second domain of sin. Prepare to welcome the gods. Children, this is a revolution. We are liberating humanity. The believers inside the bus were swept up in his fervor. One by one, their eyes blazed with fanatic light, veins bulging at their necks as they roared in unison. The gods descend, heaven on earth. The gods descend, heaven on earth. Fight for the gods. And so the day passed in a blurred haze. As dusk fell, a grotesquely large full moon rose into the sky. Its sight was unsettling. Two massive craters and a long, jagged fissure below aligned into the eerie illusion of a smiling face. The lunar ladder had already been erected, waiting only the faithful to welcome the birth of the moon god. What a glorious moment in the entire history of our church. Only 2 divine fetuses have ever hatched successfully. The bishop's expression twisted with ecstasy. And today, I will carve my name into the history. He spoke of those 2 previous births. The first had thrown the world into chaos, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and cascading disasters that left hundreds of millions dead, wounded, or displaced. And all of it was caused by just 1 minute of a god's presence on Blue Star. When the second divine fetus descended upon the American continent, the surrounding seas erupted with fog and deadly currents, sealing the entire landmass. After that, nothing. Contact with the continent was completely severed. In satellite images, the entire region became a blank void. The allied forces of many nations paid a dear price, and from then on the dark ocean surrounding it was classified as a class forbidden zone of life, never to be entered again. At that moment, the bishop cut open his own wrist, letting blood spill. A spiked crystal instantly shifted in form, ravenously drinking in the flowing blood. Now this bishop would usher in the arrival of the third god, this time in the Daxia kingdom. Step by step, he climbed the lunar ladder, bowing his head in solemn chant as he moved toward the twisted, ominous moon. At last he beheld the ornate structure upon the lunar surface, the moon gate. Dropping to his knees, he poured his blood upon the ground and cried out, "Oh, God above, accept my blood, As though acknowledging his devotion, the moon gate creaked open. A voice surged into his mind, guiding him onward. Eventually, he reached a grand altar forged from moonstone. Upon it rested a platinum coffin engraved with the church's sigil, the platinum god coffin. Inside lay the divine fetus he had once cultivated. After 4 years of draining the lifeblood of Lenshu County, it was nearly ripe. True, compared to those fetuses cultivated with the life force and faith of entire nations, this one was inferior. Its capacity to embody divinity was far weaker, but the very fact that it existed at all was an achievement. The bishop carefully lifted the coffin, surprised at how unnaturally light it was. Still, he bent low, feigning a heavy burden as he staggered forward, perhaps believing the act itself carried greater ritual weight. Beneath the lunar ladder, the congregation craned their necks, finally catching sight of the bishop carrying the coffin. His back was bent as though crushed by its weight, sweat streaming down his face. Yet he pressed forward, chanting devoutly with every step. The believers gazed on with boundless reverence, for to them, he was a father. The crowd parted, allowing the bishop to enter the center of the formation and set down the coffin. Children, let us begin welcoming the god. He lifted his voice to the heavens. O great moon, O nightmare god of the dreamscape, your most faithful servant calls once more. Grant me leave to summon your soul, moon nightmare, Boros. From every single resident of Lenshu County, including the bishop himself, white spirit forms drifted out of their bodies. These phantoms carried the weight of human faith. The sight was not majestic but grotesque to the extreme. Hundreds of thousands of spirits surged together into a white tide, streaming toward the coffin. At that instant, a beast roar split the air like thunder, carrying a sovereign's dominance as though heralding a signal. Almost half of the white tide suddenly turned blue, some entirely, some half blue, and others speckled with cobalt blotches. The bishop reeled in shock. What is happening? The pure white spirits have turned blue. That roar. It polluted them. Impossible. How could the divine fetus's spirits be tainted by some unknown roar? Who is meddling in the shadows? The bishop's heart sank. Yet one truth was undeniable. Their faith in the moon nightmare had been defiled. The believers were worshipping another king. No, the ritual can't be undone. These corrupted blue spirits are trying to contaminate the divine fetus. The congregation of divine descent heaven stood frozen, their minds blank for an instant. A wave of humiliation crashed over them, as if their devotion had been violated. At that moment, Yehi's figure emerged silently behind the bishop. Tattooing, bishop. The bishop spun around, horrified. Who are you? Blue lights surged in Yehi's eyes as he answered coldly. Given the state of things, you still can't tell who I am. As Yehi drew his blade, he slowly closed his eyes. In his mind, a new vision opened, colorless yet woven with countless lines, sketching the outlines of bodies and their organs. On the bishop's throat, one crimson line blazed brighter than all the rest. He had found it. The killing line. Ashura 3 blades, second strike, killing stance, slaughtering moon. The Kylan blade erupted in a flood of blood, red light as overwhelming killing intent surged into it. In that moment, the blade became a river of blood forged from the wailing souls of the dead, radiating sheer terror. Even the twisted moon above was split in half by that strike. Dong, a massive bell crashed down. The bishop fell in an instant, and with his dying breath, he cried out, Great moon nightmare, Boros. He scoffed inwardly. The Thade. Even with 3 life-saving artifacts on his body, the crimson bishop couldn't withstand a single strike. Then, out of nowhere, a voice rang out. An incredible blade. Tell me, child, would you like to join the church? He stiff-feigned, snapping his head around. Another crimson bishop stood there. The man introduced himself calmly. Allow me. I am Lin Shai, the current highest authority of the church in the Daxia kingdom. He chuckled lightly. What you just killed was only my vice, bishop. You understand, don't you? Ours is a dangerous profession. Having subordinates pose as superiors is only logical, wouldn't you agree? His eyes narrowed. An old schemer. A decoy, huh? His gaze sharpened, and without hesitation, he chose to withdraw from the battlefield. But Lin Shai's mocking voice pursued him. This is sacred ground for welcoming the gods. You can't just come and go as you please. Lin Shai thrust out his palm, and he felt his body suddenly sink. The moment he tried to take flight, an invisible force bound him tight, dragging him down. Telekinesis. To Yahi, whose mental power was razor sharp, it was clear this was pure spiritual energy. If that was the case, then only spiritual energy could break it. The world, a golden armored fiend emerged from behind Yahi, tearing apart the massive hand of psychic force. Lin Shai's pupils shrank, shock flashing across his face. That figure behind you. Don't tell me you've trained in divine arts as well. Perhaps because of his towering spiritual power and constant exposure to divine echoes, Ling Tai was actually able to see the world. He spat a curse. Divine arts? My ass. The only reason I wanted to leave was to avoid fighting next to that damn coven. Did you really think I was afraid of you? With a feral grin, he launched his fist. In an instant, blue lightning burst forth, and pillar-thick bones sprouted from his arm. Muscle fibers locked together like steel girders, sparks racing along the growing frame. With a single strike, a roaring, flesh-forged dragon exploded outward. In a blaze of light and flame, the dragon's maw crashed toward Lin Sai's stunned face. Lin Sai only sneered. Such abominations. They won't harm me. Boom. A thunderous explosion shook the ground as Lin Sai was blasted away. But it wasn't over. The flesh dragon barreled forward with unstoppable force, slamming him relentlessly. It drove him straight through a fortified building like a bullet train at full speed, shattering the entire structure in an instant. The exposed muscle fibers stretched for hundreds of meters, dragging Lin Sai as they tore through countless buildings with blinding speed. The world spun violently. When Lin Sai regained his senses, he was already pinned beneath the raging flesh dragon. Without the psychic barrier shielding his body, he would have been crushed to dust. His ornate robes were reduced to rags. His veins burst under the strain of overdrawn mental power, blood pouring from his organs until his whole body looked like a man made of gore. The man nearly blacked out. Yet, in the very next second, his wounds began to heal. I told you. You can't hurt me. I am chosen by the gods. His face darkened. As expected. Zealots of this cult are damn near impossible to kill. This is trouble. Gods descend. Heaven on earth. Gods descend. Heaven on earth. All around, the frenzied cultists chanted in unison. He glanced at them, and sneered. Almost forgot about you lot. We are justice, they screamed, their bloodshot eyes blazing, each drawing a silver dagger. In the next heartbeat, every blade plunged into its wielder's throat. They slit their own necks without hesitation. Mass suicide, figures. That's about all these lunatics are good for, he sneered. The twisted logic of cultists was beyond comprehension. He narrowed his eyes. Let's see what kind of trick they're trying to pull this time. In an instant, an icy, slimy surge of spiritual energy descended. The corpses of the self-Lang began convulsing violently, as though something alive was gestating inside them, ready to burst out. Crack. A blood mid-hand suddenly tore its way free from one follower's chest. As the creature fully crawled out, he finally saw its true form. Skin the color of blood, horns jutting from its skull, and fangs jutting from its maw. He grinned. So, in the end, it's just some Western-style demon trash. In an instant, 50 cultists became 50 gates of flesh, spewing demons without end. He sneered. These lunatics really go all in, turning their own bodies into gateway just to summon demons. Trying to flood the field again. Too bad. I can flood the field, too. He threw back his head, and roared. A shockwave ripped across the battlefield. Boom. 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 Bolts of yellow lightning exploded throughout the city, almost identical to when he had transformed into a giant. He hadn't resurrected those cyborgs for nothing. Now, they serve as vessels for his avatars. The demons shrieked in a frenzy, their cries echoing across the ruins. The clash was immediate and violent, but the demons were no match for Yai's avatars. They were crushed into dust within moments. The vice-bishop stood dumbstruck, staring at the towering giants. His mind reeled. The bishop was slain in an instant, and now this army of giants appears. Who the hell are these people? Wait, where's that boy leading them? Quick, use spirit vision to find him. His expression twisted and shook as he spotted Yai. He's striding toward the divine coffin. Damn it, the god fetus is his target. The vice-bishop bolted toward Yai, shouting, Stop, stay back, your opponent is us. Scorching violet flames and a blast of freezing dragon breath flared up, boxing him in, each aura carrying terrifying weight. The vice-bishop's brow furrowed. These foes were clearly prepared. From the sudden decapitation strike to their giants crushing the demon horde, and now this pincer on himself. Are they Dragon Sparrow operatives? Did they know the church's plan all along? If so, this mission might already be doomed. He reached the divine coffin. Even at arm's length, a chill surged out that felt cold enough to freeze his very soul. The presence within radiated searing hostility toward him. Understandable. After all, he pretty much interfered with this so-called god. A system panel flickered before his eyes, special energy acquired, Divinity 5. During the Heaven's Descent ritual, half of the faith energy the cult had hoarded for 4 years was corrupted by Yai. That tainted faith was used by the god Fetus to build a body for the Moon Nightmare in the moral realm. Yet in the process, part of its divine power had been stolen by Yai himself. So that's how it is. But truth be told, Yai never considered the Heaven's Descent zealots worth his attention. They were weaklings, cannon fodder at best. His true enemy had always been the deity tied to the moon and dreams. Yet even stripped of divine power, even a malnourished, premature wretch. This god should have awakened by now. Why are you still hiding in the coffin? Fine, then I'll pry the lid off myself. With a single thought, he blew the lid of the divine coffin open. The next moment, his pupils shrank. Empty. The coffin was completely empty. What the hell? Nothing inside. Falling yourself a god and still skulking in the shadows. He tightened his grip on the Kylan blade, every muscle tense. A suffocating stillness hung over the battlefield. The roars of giants and demons alike had vanished. The clash of Chu Hao, Liu Qingshu, and the vice bishop had gone silent. It was as if the entire world had muted itself, leaving only Yai. Then, a voice echoed out of the void. Don't tell me you've forgotten your true master, the moon. It's an illusion. He narrowed his eyes. That familiar sensation meant he'd been entranced. When exactly was I pushed into a dream? Lin Shai's voice slid into his ear, cold and amused. Guess when you fell asleep. Outside, the vice-bishop barely summoned a hulking demon, using it to pin Chu Hao and Li Qingshu in place, buying himself a precious moment to breathe. He wondered anxiously how is Bishop Lin faring over there. The vice-bishop turned his gaze back to Yai by the coffin. With his patent psychic acuity, he sensed something was wrong. He was clearly under divine punishment for offending a god. Worse, he could no longer detect Lin Shai's spiritual presence. The thought chilled him. He dared not imagine the rest. He had no choice. He had to reach the divine fetus. He drew a short blade set with a green gem, a sacred relic. Pierce an enemy with it, and blood thorns would sprout within, growing outward until the victim was shredded to pulp. Let the gods punish this sinful soul. This tainted flesh, I will execute myself, the vice-bishop intoned, his voice cutting and resolute. Chu Hao and Liu Qingshu, pinned by the hulking demon, watched Yai teetering on the brink, and their faces went white with rage. Chu Hao shouted, "Damn it, that man is heading straight for Yai." Liu Qingshu, go save Yai. I'll hold this thing back, Chu Hao roared. He unleashed the blood-burning forbidden Dekmi. An instant surge of frost and nether flame. The demon that had them subdued suddenly lost its edge. Freezing such a behemoth took almost every ounce of Chu Hao's martial energy. Don't hesitate. Our lives aren't worth as much as his, Chu Hao barked. Liu Qingshu stopped hesitating. Wings unfurling, she rocketed off to intercept the vice-bishop. She murmured, I know, Chu Hao. Please. Don't die. But the tide turned. Chu Hao couldn't hold the beast forever. Boom. The unquenchable hellfire vaporized the ice. The 5-meter tall horn demon shattered its bonds and reared up. It glared down at Chu Hao with eyes that spewed flame. Hellfire coalesced into a war axe in its grasp. The limb that swung it was thicker than Chu Hao's entire body. Then it came down with brutal force. Chu Hao's legs had already been badly burned earlier. There was no way to dodge. He braced to take it head on. He roared, "You think this will kill me? Why, revenge isn't finished yet." Several ice needles shot into the demon's pressure points. He declared, "A powerful bloodline from the Frost capital runs through my veins.